Hello, Patrick here from Half Cheetah Will View, 8 Questions with, and it's Thursday. It's the last show of the week. Um, we will be talking to the mighty Gory B movie tonight. Our friend Haley, also known as Haley, um, and she'll be in here in about 15 minutes or so, and we are going to chop it up. Those who can share us out, do so. I'll be saying that a couple of different times. Thank you for showing up for tonight. I know we generally start at 8 o'clock Eastern time, but hi Betty, I see you. Thank you. Normally we start at 8 o'clock Eastern time. You're right, but tonight we start at 9 p.m. Eastern because Haley's on the Gory's on the West Coast. I'm not sure. I hope she doesn't mind me calling her Haley. I like the name, so I use it. I hope she doesn't mind me mentioning that. She lives on the West Coast, so she's 3 hours behind us. So that means she wants time to get home, maybe relax, say hi to the family, get something cold to drink, whatever, and get situated. So I said, no problem. We'll start at 9. Not a problem. So she runs the Gory B movie channel. She also runs the Gory Hole on a Facebook group. On Facebook, which both I will be putting down in the description box below. All I gotta say about Gory is she's just one of the nicest, one of the classiest, and very thoughtful YouTubers I've met. She's full of high energy. She believes in a lot of having fun. She supports people. She supports us, me and Al Lucard. On her show. Her show is on Sunday night. The Horror Hangout is on Sunday night at 10 p.m. right after me and Al are over with. And so yeah, right. Yeah. I pretty much almost use Facebook now just for promotion. I really do. It's pretty much all I use it for. I get in there, I drop my links and put my stories up and talk to people. I'll look for interview subjects there. People want to talk to me for the show. I do use Facebook for that. That's a helpful tool for that. Okay, what did I just do? I did something here. Okay. Ta-da. Okay. So right now, as I get resituated, right now on Gory's channel, the Horror Hangout, they are having a battle royale, a horror battle royale. So what they did was they gone through different categories like hunters, werewolves, vampires, creatures of the night, all sorts of horror genres, horror characters, slashers, supernaturals, final girls. And what they did was they had a preliminary draw. Can I get some directions to the Gory Hole? I can, actually. Hold on here. You want the Gory? Yeah, I can do that. Hold on, Casey, for sure. I should have just thought about that. All right. All right, here we go. Okay, good. Here's the link to the Gory Hole. It's a private group, Casey, so it might take a couple of days. I'll let her know that I'm letting her know I'll be dropping the link down. So there's the Gory Hole as far as the group goes. But I already know you're connected to her, right? Are you connected to Gory? If not, I'll drop her link down as well, of course. So they're doing a big battle royale. So all these monsters and creatures are battling hard right now to see which is going to be number one. I can already tell you, I was there for 45 minutes to an hour last week. I can tell you right now that okay, thanks so much, Casey. Yeah, that is not bad. That's not bad considering I'm starting at 9 o'clock. Uh, I can tell you right now, during the battle royale, it is not going to be the usual same tired subjects. Uh, Gory's crowd is very energetic and very. They think outside the box. There's been a lot of battles that I thought would just go a certain way because there's just iconic horror figures. No, no, we're not rooting for them. You're done. You've already had your time in the sun. Now we're getting fresh horror people in there. We're getting fresh champions. It's very unique. Uh, how you doing? Lord, I see you there. Um, awesome. Uh, uh, yeah, thanks for coming. Those who can share us out, please do so. Hey, Neon, how are you, sir? Glad you're here. Glad you guys are here hanging out with us. So of course, this being 8 questions, going to be asking the good questions. Hey, Echo, if you have questions for our guest, Gory, we're going to be talking about a wide range of subjects. We're going to talk about horror movies, but we're also going to talk about Wicca. Gory is a practicing witch. If that is a sensitive subject to you, I understand. If for some reason that is sensitive to you, your beliefs, I totally understand. But I would definitely stay around to watch the interview, because you might learn something. Always learn something. But I know some people are a little leery about that subject, so I just want to let you know, give you a heads up that we will be talking about that. As you can see by my community tab, Gory loves cats. We're talking about that. Um, we'll talk about family. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. Me too. I'm looking forward to this too. Appreciate you guys sharing us out too. I was hoping that the hour long start, the late start, wouldn't turn off some people. So I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see her fans are coming on out in force. Okay. Now again, the show on Sunday, the horror hangout is on Gory's channel Sundays at 10 p.m. till whenever. um, yeah, they battled hard last Sunday. They went over 4 hours of battle royale action. A lot of fun to watch. A lot of fun to watch. And I gotta tell you, of all the channels out here for replay purposes, that's one of the best channels out there, as far as listening to content, to replay the content. Gory's channel. Yeah, you can listen to that tomorrow or 3 weeks from now or 6 weeks ago, or 6 months from now, and it's still going to be fresh, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Much like this show is, right? Like this show is a lot of fun. You can listen to this show at any time, and it's going to seem fresh. All right, so let me while I get a chance here, let me tell you, because those who are new here, but I don't think anybody new is new here. But of course, we got to talk about the calendar, right? So, all right. All right. So, this Saturday at 7 p.m., me and Mighty Al Licard, the cat and the bat, we are making a road trip. We are heading over to the House of Horrors on Saturday night at 7 p.m. We will be there to kick off Mark Polonia week. We're talking all things Mark Polonia starting next week. And oh, that's right, Polonia week. So we're all going to be watching. We're going to watch and review Mark Polonia films next week in honor of the fact that he is releasing his newest film, Amityville in Space. Some of the folks have already gotten copies. They've gotten press copies. I noticed that Hobbs from Hobbs Horror got his copy of Amityville in Space from MVD. So he'll be reviewing it, but that's what we're here for. We're doing Mark Polonia week. Oh, there you are. Yeah, we started off a little late, because because Gory's on the West Coast. Yeah. I was just mentioning, Hobbs, that you got a copy of Amityville in Space from MVD to review. So that's hopefully that'll happen during Polonia week. So the official release date for that movie is the 11th, I do believe. And so we're watching like 5 Polonia movies, right? And watch it and review it. I still got 2 more to go. I still I still got 2 more I still got 2 more to go. I just posted up I just watched and reviewed my third movie for Polonia week, which was Amityville Death House. I'm already doing Amityville too, right? All right. I will say the Amityville Death House, I was actually really impressed with that. I really was. I was like, this is pretty decent. So we're going to be over there on Stephen and Boom and talking about Polonia week, and then Sunday the 17th, they're coming back to our channel to hang out with us for a little bit, and me and Al, and after they come back and visit us, then me and Al will be joined by a special guest, and we'll be talking Mark Polonia movies, and especially and specifically Splatter or Return to Splatter Farm. Ooh. On the 19th, Tuesday, I'll mention this. Al will be hosting a live To Be Tuesday at 10 o'clock with Stephen from A House of Horrors and Greta Volkova, and they will be watching Sharkenstein. If you haven't seen Sharkenstein, everybody needs to see Sharkenstein. Hey, Dave, how are you, sir? Oh yeah? What's pretty cool? You got to share us the news. Yeah, yep. We're gonna be yep. So Stephen and Al are gonna be hosting Greta on Tuesday for To Be Tuesday, and then me and Al will be visiting Boom and Stephen on Saturday, and then we'll be hosting Boom and Stephen on Sunday. On the 19th, I will be hosting here at 8 o'clock. I'll be doing a Creators Week, a YouTube's Creator Week. So I'm interviewing 3 creators from YouTube. Tuesday the 19th, I'll be interviewing Darian from Magnificent Germany with Darian. He is a YouTuber and he leads. Yeah, I know what you're saying that for, Hobbs. I know. I'll have to talk to you about that. I know miracles happen, right? But yes, it did happen, sort of. So we'll be talking to Darian from Magnificent Germany with Darian. He is he runs a tour guide group. He leads groups of people across Germany, and he shows them how beautiful Germany is. And he loves the country. He is an American, but he goes and he leads groups over to Germany and he shows how beautiful the country is. So we'll be talking to him on the 19th at 8 p.m. On Wednesday, the 18th or the 20th, we'll be hosting Greg Harris from Fit for Expedition. He'll be here at 8 o'clock. And yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. He'll be here at 8 o'clock. And we'll be talking about van life because him and his wife are building a box van to go on the road to live the van life. And then on the 21st, a week from today, we will be having the lovely Miss Betty J. Gathers will be up here, and we'll be talking to Betty about a whole lot of things. Me and Betty have become rather close, and I'm looking forward to talking to her. She has a lot to say, and hopefully you guys will come out to want to hear it because I know I do. So she will be here on the 21st, and that'll be at 8 o'clock. And then the last week of July, ooh, yikes. The last week of July, we have tons of stuff. We have tons of stuff. We have on the 26th, we have back-to-back shows on the 26th. We are interviewing Michaela Longden She is one of the stars of the movie When Darkness Falls. We'll be interviewing her at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And then on Tuesday night, the 26th at 8 p.m., we'll be interviewing Ruby Lott from Australia. She's an Australian actress and model. On the 27th, we'll be staying over in England, and we'll be interviewing Ellie O'Hara. She is also one of the stars of When Darkness Falls, and that will be a Wednesday on the 27th. And then the 28th, we will be interviewing Crystal Lowell, who has starred in the Final Destination 3. She starred in Wrong Turn 2. She starred in Wonder. She starred in Insomnia. Just a whole lot of fun movies. And she's also has done Signed, Sealed, Delivered, which is a beautiful Hallmark series of movies that we'll be talking about as well. That will be at 8 o'clock on the 28th. And then my last show before I go for a month is with Grant Linkard on Friday night at 8 p.m. So, all right. Let me go see where Gory's at. I'm sure she's here. Ta-da. Nope, not yet. That's all right. You know how horror hosts are. Ah, she is here. Look at that. That's because I have a connection with Old Dude Vampire. That's right.
I am so sorry. I was running late today.
It's all right.
I am sorry about that.
Please look at my title. I made it just for you.
Old Dude Cheetah! I love it.
That's right.
That's the final battle too. Is the vampires?
Is it?
Yes, because they're in alphabetical order on my bracket thing.
That's awesome. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there early.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny because I don't think anyone even cares about the guy from True Blood. It's just his name.
Me and Al, we're crashing that. We're crashing that stream.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I don't know how is that a thing? Who is Old Dude Vampire? I don't even know. All I know is you said Old Dude Vampire.
His name's Lucian. He's a character in True Blood. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Ugh.
All I know is that Old Dude Vampire has just swept the nation. How are you feeling?
Oh, pretty good. There's not anything they can do about it. I just have an exposed root. But that one day when we had the stream, they had also done fillings. And so it was all around this tooth that's like exposed. And so I was just in so much pain. They put some desensitizing stuff on it, and I think it's working. And then I switched to like a sensitive, like enamel toothpaste, and I got a special mouthwash. So, I mean, it's still sensitive, but it's a lot better than it was.
Good. Yeah, that really sucks.
Yeah, they were drilling right next to it the whole time, and it's an exposed root. So I was just like, I'm dying here. And then I got home and I was just like, I can't. I want to, but I can't.
No.
And they're not making stuff.
No, there's no, of course not. I felt really bad. Still do, actually.
I'm hoping I can get it. I mean, the only way to fix it is with surgery, and I can't afford that right now. So hopefully eventually I can get it fixed. But
you're a powerhouse though, because see, I really thought when you came back that you postponed the show, and you had to postpone your show for that. Then I saw you come back, and I'm going like, okay, it's gonna be really interesting to see how long you could go before the mouth just becomes too sore to go on. And so 4 hours and 20 minutes later, right?
Yeah, it was only those first 2 days. By Sunday, it was fine. It's if like hot and cold stuff touches it, but that one day it was mostly just because they were drilling right next to it. Because I had a filling right next to it. So it just took a couple days to recover. But I mean, it's okay. It is what it is. I also have to get a crown that I can't afford, but eventually, hopefully, maybe.
Yeah, I might have an idea, but I'll toss it your way off camera. I might have an idea for that if you're interested. Everybody knows that the dentist is like, of all the real life horrors, real life people you meet, the dentist seems to got a reputation for being like one of the top 5 horror, like Like people do not like going to the dentist.
Yeah, that's why I think those dentist movies are so effective. Even just the sound of the fucking drill. Like
Um,
I can't understand how anyone could be a dentist and hear that sound or the sound of the scraping.
uh,
Damn.
uh, I remember they did a movie, an old movie, from 19 in the mid 70s with Dustin Hoffman called Marathon Man, and
Yes.
in it, yes, you know it. So in it, he's being held, and the dentist is drilling into his teeth unexposed. He's asking, "Is it safe? Is it safe?" And he's just poor Dustin.
Oh,
You gotta feel so. It's just a terrifying moment.
you
You know,
put a lot of trust into them. A lot of trust into them.
a lot of trust. Yeah, I'm sure everybody has their favorite dentist stories, but we'll save that for another time, right? Nobody wants to hear the drill here. Um,
Oh,
so
hey,
I'm
you're
glad.
actually live. Hi, everybody.
Oh yeah, yeah, they've been hearing our story about you,
Oh
about
boy.
the trip to the
All my
dentist.
fun teeth stuff. Yeah.
Yay! You got exposed. Oh, okay.
That's fine. It's all good. I got no secrets. Bring it.
Uh, so glad you're here. And here's our other Sunday cohort. Al Lucard flying in the
Al Lucard.
Al
He's the
Lucard.
original. He is, to me, he's old dude vampire.
You know what? He would pass as old dude vampire.
Really? I like
He
it. I
would.
like it a
He
lot.
would. We actually watched the Bat last Sunday.
Oh yeah, I used to love that movie when I was a kid. My mom used to put a lot of Vincent Price and the old black and whites, Bela Lugosi movies like The Bad Seed and stuff. She used to put this on for me all the time, but especially if it had like Vincent Price in it, she would like call me right away to come watch a movie with her. Because back in the day, before streaming, if it was on TV, like it was on now, so you had to watch
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah. I mean, when I'm old enough to remember that before TV went to, before it went to like streaming and before it went to multiple, channels or Ford networks or whatnot. We used to have what they call independent stations that were owned by individuals, or small companies. They would have 2 or 3 channels maybe, and then on there they would just show the cheapest thing they could get. You know, the cheapest movies, public domain movies, old series from like 20 years before that, and they would show them and show them a lot. So this movie would be shown like maybe twice a week, and it was not unheard of. So yeah. So I mean, it was fun to watch, and we got now the public domain is such a thing. Now, film companies put out these huge ass boxes of public domain movies. So we get to catch up on what we may have missed because independent TV stations are no longer with us.
Honestly, like that's the thing. When I was younger, we would also on cable, you would have horror host, and I watched a lot of the national ones, like Monster Vision and stuff. But like that was really cool to me, and Wayne's World was really cool to me. I was like, one day I'm going to get a public access station. It's going to be super cool to talk about movies. So there's a lot that frustrates me about YouTube. But whenever I get really, really frustrated about monetization and all that stuff, I just think, how cool is it that anybody can turn on a camera, go on YouTube, and talk about whatever the fuck they want to talk about? Like, it's just awesome.
It is awesome. I mean, you're your own host. You are what you want to
Yeah.
be.
You want a show? Go make a show. Like, it's as easy as that. Back in the day, like you had to get like public access, all this stuff, all these hoops and stuff. And now it's so easy to it's not easy, but it's more accessible to create, even in like writing and stuff. You don't want to deal with a publisher, fine, self-publish that.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I used to work in music, and I was a talent buyer for 10 years, and that was the dream of every band. Every band, there was their motto was, "We're gonna get signed to a major label." And it's like that was back then, but now you don't need a major label. You
Mm-mm.
don't need, we want to get on the radio. You don't need to be on the radio. You don't have to have that in order to have success. Now you can just do Spotify or
Yeah,
SoundCloud or
I
whatever.
find a lot of great artists on SoundCloud. In fact, the music I use on my show, a lot of it is from Anne Hell, who I found on SoundCloud. And so it's just really cool. You can just, for people who want to enjoy art, it's easy to find and access it. And for people who want to make art, you can find your own audience and do it yourself.
Yeah, I have friends who I have. It's so cool to go on Spotify and to find out you have friends that are still cracking out music and they're dropping it on Spotify. It's like, oh wow, this is so neat. It's like it's so it's so opportunistic. And but the money's not the best. But then again, you know what? At least you're not going to be in the damn hole like most of the time when you make a record for a major label, you are going into the hole. You're going into debt. You get signed and they say, well, here, we're going to give you $75,000, $100,000 for you to go make your record. Well, you owe that money back. So now, it's not, here you make the record, you pay for your recording costs to record it yourself, then you upload it. And guess what? You're making money right away without any middleman at all.
Yeah. I mean, Grant, I think the more you invest, the more you get back, depending on what you want to do. And honestly, I think if you just have something interesting to talk about, you don't need all the bells and whistles. Like right now, Danny, my husband, is making a movie, and it's cool. He's buying all the props and stuff. He's meeting with people to get like the equipment and drones and like all this stuff that's so fancy. So
now, will this
really
be
cool.
related to your channel? So is this going to be totally separate?
Okay, it's related in the sense that we created these characters on Horror Addict. So breaking kayfabe a little bit here. But Gory B movie, Lols and Danny are characters that we created for horror addicts because we had a young kid and he didn't want his face on camera, and originally he wasn't going to even talk, but he did say he wanted to talk. It was all up to him how much he wanted to be involved. But he did want to be involved. He just didn't want to have his face on it. And so we're like, well, we'll just have like different names. And I had already been playing roller derby, and Gory B movie was my roller derby name. So I respond to Gory just as I respond to the name that my mummy gave me when I was young. So
I hope you don't mind that, because I find myself saying it because I think I like your name. So sometimes I'll sit there and say Haley here and Haley there, and I'm like, well,
doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
Both are great.
Yeah.
Typically in costume, Gory, and out, but I honestly don't care. They're both pretty interchangeable if you ask me. But yeah, so Danny Nightmare is the slasher villain. He's a slasher in the sense like Chucky or Freddy or Jason, where he, kills and he gets killed and he comes back repeatedly. And that way we could also joke about things in horror movies, and we could make sketches and stuff like where we kill people, and it wouldn't be too serious because they're characters, they're not us.
Sure.
And then Gory is a witch who was expelled from her coven. So Gory just tends to do crazy stuff and doesn't really think about the consequences. So Danny is always cleaning up after me. And Lols is my half demon son and his stepson, who is just all powerful. Like, I think Lols might actually take the whole battle coming up, because I don't think he has any weaknesses. So yeah, so we had these characters, and he really likes it. And so the movie he wrote a whole screenplay called Gory B Movie. And it's got, apparently I have my mom and my how the character grew up and stuff. And it's almost kind of starts off like the Blair Witch, where there's the bee witch that lives in the woods and, her half demon kid. So he wrote this whole screenplay. Like, he has ideas on who he wants in it and stuff. And, he's talked to some cool people. And then he decided that to get financing for a movie, he would do a short film. So that's what he's doing now. The short film is called Lulls, and it's about the little half demon kid. And so I think essentially, somebody encounters Lulls in the woods and it doesn't go well. So I think it's going to be really cool.
It'll be a lot of fun. And that's actually a pretty good way to do it now too. More and more people seem to do it, to make a short film as a pitch film, make a 10 to 12 minute long pitch, walk in there, and then this is what we've done. This is where we want to go. And that attracts investors. It does.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this is what I can do on like no budget, just my own, will to tell a story. This is what I can do. And then also like, like Kickstarter and stuff. And so like fans can get excited and be like, hey, these are the characters that we want to talk about. If you want to see more of this, you want to see more of what, we can do, help fund this project. You are essentially a producer on it. And then it gets made, works with like games and lots of stuff, you can crowdfund, but I think you do need to show people what you're capable of first.
Yeah, yeah, I think you want to do that because anywhere you can get money to come in at any source is a good thing. And if you can get it financed quickly, the faster you get it financed, the better. I know crowdfunding can take a long time, and it comes in trickles sometimes. It's just better just to get it all in one shot if you can. And if you can, it's like either way, as long as you continue to go forward with it. Now, will this be Danny's first time to actually make a movie, or has he ever done anything like this
Well,
before?
if you watch Horror Addicts, we have ongoing sketches, a lot of sketches before, like, Canadian Jason, that's an ongoing sketch series. So, we've made a lot of sketches, that he's written like scripts for, and he's written scripts and stuff before. But yeah, this is the first like actual like getting professional equipment, like getting a crew together, like movie that he's made. So it's really exciting. Like I'm just so impressed that he's doing it. Like that takes a lot of courage.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've talked to a lot of filmmakers, and yeah, I can totally attest to that. It takes a
Oh, he's
lot.
in the chat too. Hi, honey. We're talking about you.
Oh, okay. There he is. That's my wife. Yes, right. That is your wife. Yeah, I think you two are pretty magical. Watching you guys interact on your horror hangout. You guys coming in there and work really well together. You definitely see how close you guys are. So let's go
Almost
back
as
to the
close as
beginning.
you and the cheetah.
Hmm?
Almost.
Yeah.
Where's the cheetah?
The cheetah is actually I don't know where he's at. I thought he would actually make an appearance. He still might. He still might. It's warm over here, so it being summer and all that. Sometimes he looks for a cool place to lay down, but
Yeah.
he'll probably make an appearance. I'm sure he
Does
will.
cheetah do what my son's cat does? He likes to go outside. He digs a hole to make it cool, and then like kind of gets up
Flop
in
into-
there. Yeah,
yeah.
he's all filthy.
The thing about it is with the cheetah is like if he went down to the basement, and flopped down in the basement, he'd be chilled he'd be set. I would never see him again. Food and water. He got food and water down there. He's got his litter box. He'd be set. But he always likes to come out and hang out with me, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, they get sometimes my cats and my dogs will be watching a movie or something, and especially Brocky, he hates the sound of like scary movies. And they give us these annoyed looks, and I'm like, dude, you want to go sleep and be comfortable and have it quiet. There's so many places you can go, but they want to be around the people. So
Do your animals watch movies with you, or they just hang out with you?
they do actually. Sometimes, I mean, Kirby the cat doesn't have much of an attention span. Sometimes he gets interested. The funniest story I have is we were watching a movie called The Lodgers, which is such an unremarkable film. It's like this Victorian age ghost story, kind of like a little bit like Crimson Peak in a way. Our dog Brewster, though, he got to the edge of the bed. We were watching it in our room and was glued to the TV the whole time. At one point, I tried to pet him, and he was just like, "Get off of me! I'm watching The Lodgers." So it's just an
Wow.
ongoing joke in our house that he is a sucker for Victorian ghost incestual romance movies, which apparently there are that's like a genre in itself.
I guess it is. I think right. Um, the cheetah watches movies.
Yeah,
When I say have cheetah will view, he watches.
that's
Yeah.
cool.
He will sit there and he'll watch a movie with me. Sometimes he may fall asleep after it, like toward the end of it or whatnot. But he'll come out and hang out with me more during the winter than summer. Summer, not so much, but wintertime, yeah, he's all about what are we watching.
Yeah, mine will come and sit with me, but they're especially Brocky. He hates like the music and stuff. Like he is the biggest scaredy. He is Scooby Doo incarnate.
Me too. Oh my gosh. Let's circle back to the beginning because I already got a couple of questions I already wanted to ask that you already let out of the bag. I'm really interested in. So, where were you born and raised at?
I was born in Ipswich, Suffolk, in England, and most of my family is there. Ipswich is a weird town. I love that the town's motto is Ipswich, a great town. It's pretty rad. The downtown is all cobblestone, so you can't drive downtown. So it's got some like old school flavor to it, and it's a very superstitious town. Most places named Ipswich. I know we have a couple. I think we have one in America, and I know there's one in Australia. They were sites where it's the kind of like Salem, places where there were witch trials. So like they still have the dunk take downtown. They have a place where there's 12 trees, but some people say that at midnight there's 13. Like there's a family that was in the newspaper that believes that there's a ghost that like picks up after their children and makes the beds and stuff. Like Ipswich is a very superstitious town, and that's where I was born, and that's where a lot of my family lives. My dad was in the military, so we moved all around, all over England. I lived in Oxford, I lived in Banbury, lived in lots of different places. And then eventually when I was about 11, we moved to America, which was cool because all the movies were from America. Like we'd been there a little bit when I was really small, like 2, to see my dad's family, and my brothers were both born here. But yeah, I thought it was super cool that we're going to go to America because all the movies were there. And I just had no idea. I mean, coming from England, how massive the country is. Like I had a buddy who I went to school with who just moved to Washington. I'm like, oh, we're going to be like on the same street. Yeah. No, I've never seen that guy again.
Wow.
So.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny because I'll over in England, they have, they do camping, they, they'll get a rig and they'll go sightseeing, I think it's called, sightseers or caravanning. That's what they call it over in England. So they'll go caravanning all over. He says, how far is it the way to get there? Oh, it's just a mere 3 or 4 hours, 2 or 3 hours. And I'm like, okay. What's it like in America when you go camping? It's like, well, you remember that movie? You remember that movie Escape from L.A.? Well, that's not just a movie. That's actually a thing in LA, to get out of it.
Yeah, my uncle married a Scottish woman, and her father took me up to Scotland, and it was a day's drive. Like nothing is that far in the UK, just nothing is that far. I lived about 3 hours away from London, so like nothing was that far. So America, like the concept of how big it was. I mean, I understood it was a bigger country, but I've not seen like most of America, but I've been all over England. And then the Air Force Base I lived on, I primarily lived on RAF Upper Hayford. The one my dad worked on when I was born was like the site of RAF Banbury, is the site of one of like the biggest UFO sightings in England's history, which is kind of cool because it was like the year I was born. But we lived on RAF Upper Hayford, which was a pretty cool place. And I guess the base shut down a couple years after we moved. And it's because I guess they did nuclear testing there, which says a lot about me. Anyway, so I found out from watching a YouTube video about forbidden places in the world that the base I lived on is forbidden. Like you can't go there. Like it's completely overtaken by nature. The trees have overtaken everything. The shop we used to go to is in the movie World War Z because they needed a place that was completely just overtaken by wildlife.
Right.
So yeah, I used to go to that shop to buy candy. So I own World War Z mostly for that, for like the nostalgia of it, because it shows the base that I grew up on.
How was the transition? I mean, were you culture shock when you moved in from England to the US? What were some of the changes that really, was it hard for you to adjust, or?
I was still, I moved here in the middle of the 4th grade. And it was really tough. Like at my old school, like we did move a lot, but we always had the same school. So I was pretty well liked. I had lots of friends. I was kind of a pain in the ass, but I had friends, and I moved here, and because I had a bit of an accent, people didn't want to talk to me. People thought I was stuck up. This boy would throw rocks at me every day. I had a Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles backpack, and I got nothing but endless grief for that. They made my life a living hell. I would stay after school, and my teacher was nice enough to let me grade papers just so I'd have an excuse to stick around to wait them out, because they would wait for me and just terrorized me. Yeah, and I was miserable. They'd go after my brothers, and just because I was from a different country, because I spoke differently. And so my dad has an American accent. And so I watched a lot of Beavis and Butthead with my dad, got that American accent down, switched schools, and didn't look back. And then it kind of was interesting to me because when I got to high school, people were like, "Oh, you're from England," or people would come over and meet my mom, and I do have a bit of an accent around my mom. And yeah, they'd be like, say something with an accent. And one, I'm not a performing monkey. And two, I was just like, so now it's exciting. Like the thing that made my life a living hell when I was a kid became a source of interest when I was in high school.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, talking like, I remember we had a couple of foreign exchange students in high school too, and everybody would like to go around them to hear them talk because, like I think one was from France and one was from like South America, and they have heavy accents, but they were really nice people too. And so, a lot of times you would hear someone say, "How do you say this?" or "How do you say that?" How do you say this word? You got a lot of that, a lot of interest. But kids, when they're younger,
yeah, I think it would have been different in high school because it would be more of interest. But in the fourth grade, people just, if you're different, they don't like you, or they're freaked out by you for some reason. Because I remember the first thing they said when I had to tour the school, it was this guy who had a very thick Southern accent, and he's like, "Where the hell you're getting an accent like that, little girl?" And I'm just like, "Oh fuck, where the my little kid head, where the fuck has my dad taken us?" So
yeah, and the thing about it is though, it's like the thing about it is though, it's like whatever section of the country you are, like if you're over in England or if you're in the South or whatever, it's not you have the accent, it's everybody else has the accent.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just other things too. Like you would think it wouldn't be that hard, but we both speak English, but words are used differently here. Like it was the 90s. So everyone had fanny packs. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they call it that, because it means something completely different in England. Like just like the way words are used differently here. So it's just crazy.
I agree. So what was your first exposure to art? I mean, were your mom and dad, were they both into arts, or were they both creatives? I mean, did they watch movies with you? Did they encourage you to write or dance or go do acting, or like parents do, or did they just let you do your own thing?
When we were kids, I mean, I think part of it is because it was the 80s, but our parents just kind of let us run wild, and we lived on an Air Force base, so we could do whatever the hell we wanted, because what trouble were we going to get into? There's guards around the gate,
So no Joe rides on a Hawker Hunter.
No, Air Force Base life is weird. You have to be 10 years old to even go to the store, so you got to sweeten up those big kids if you want to go buy like some gum. But yeah, long as you're home before the street lights are on, we could kind of just go off and do whatever we wanted. My parents are big movie fans, and they love horror. Not so much like slashers and stuff, but they love like American Wolf in London, Evil Dead, things like that. And so they would watch them around me. And like I said, my mom got me into like the classic ones because she thought that I could handle those movies. But eventually, I think they just didn't think I was paying attention to them. And eventually there was a few I was not allowed to watch, but for the most part, I was allowed to watch scary movies. My mom would kind of tell us, okay, well, this is what's in this movie. Can you handle seeing a little kid die? Can you handle seeing a lot of blood? What if a dog dies? I was like, okay, oh, yeah, I think I can do that. And then my mom would put it on for us. My dad was really strict. I don't have a relationship with my dad, unfortunately, but I am close with my mom. And she was also a big reader. And my mom could plow through a massive book like The Stand in 2 days. And so I would think it was so fascinating to like see, like I'd mark where she was in her book and how much farther she'd be the next day. Like she was so fascinated by what was in these books. And so I would ask her to read them to me. And so she would read me things like Cujo and stuff when I was pretty young, or summarize them for me. And then I remember Carrie, she told me it was a movie. And I'm like, oh, tell me more about this. And I got super invested in the stories. And then eventually she would show me the films, even though I'd get scared and stuff. I was really interested.
I think Stephen King has really been the vast majority of most horror fans' introduction into the genre. I do. I think the more I hear about it, when I talk to people about that, it's over and over and over. It's their introduction has been through Stephen King. The chat has been absolutely been flying here, so let me go and catch up a little bit here.
Oh no, my headband's coming off. What is going on with this?
Okay, Hobbs has been Hobbs has been crushing our troll or our bots. Thanks, Hobbs. See, want to see if there's any questions I missed. Okay, that got answered. Yep, Hobbs got to do a show. Yeah, thank you, Neon Black. Yeah, Patrick and Gory 2 bot 0. Let's see.
I tried, but it's hard.
See, the Monkey. I'll get back to you on that one for sure, Monkey. I'll get that back to you.
All right, there we go.
Very fascinating. Yes, I agree, Mr. Flickster. Every question is a good question. The only bad questions are questions that are unasked. Yes, you can use it. I see Danny's going. They're called Hero Turtles and not Ninja Turtles over there. So they're not called Ninja Turtles. Okay.
No, that's why I got teased for it, because on my backpack it said Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles.
Oh, okay. Hello, Andre. How are you? Andre's from New Zealand. Thank you for coming in, making this an international flavor, truly. Let's see. Everybody's saying hi to everybody. Mr. Flickster is asking, what got you into horror? I just think we just are going through that door right this very second, actually. Watched a lot of Stephen King as a kid. Yes. So was Carrie your first horror movie then?
My first horror movie that I remember, like I said, there were so many my parents watched around me, and I'd remember like snippets of. But the first one I actually have a memory of watching. And like I said, there were so many I watched with my mom, so I can't possibly remember the first one. Like my mom says, probably the first one they sat down and watched with me was American Wolf in London, because it was a big deal when it premiered on TV a few months after it came out. So that might have been the first one. But the first one I remember was The Fly. Like, I loved it. It was such a good story, such great characters. I loved Vincent Price. I had like the biggest Vincent Price crush when I was a kid, and his character is so great. It's such a romantic movie. It's scary. That ending just sticks with you. Like, I get really sad when people just only know the Cronenberg one and they've never seen the original.
Oh, the original.
They're both incredible films. They're about completely different things, and you're really missing out if you haven't watched the 1958 version.
Yeah, the 1958 one it's sad as hell. It's sad as hell.
So tragic. They're just different movies. Like The Fly, Cronenberg's The Fly is really interesting because it's like the horror of watching someone you love like decay, like either from old age or disease. And there's nothing you can do about it. And it's tragic. And the horror of growing old and having your body fall apart and stuff. I think that's what he was saying he was going for. And it really rings true in that movie. It's a true body horror. But in the original, this woman, you have this mystery of why did this woman crush her husband whom she loved in a press? So you get kind of like this murder mystery. And then you find out that she was asked to do like the worst thing in the world. And she did it because she loved him, because she was trying to protect him, and they did everything to try and save him. And it's just so sad.
It's a great movie. It's a fantastic movie. You're right. I remember I see people in the community, they have the Fly collection. So they had the Cronenberg.
It's right here.
Oh, there you go. And then it included all the other Fly movies too.
Yeah, Return, Curse, then Cronenberg's, and then the part 2 with Eric Stoltz.
So I think that was great that they included the original Fly with as well as the modern one, because you got to include that into the franchise. It's one of those movies. Don't you think this is true? This is one of the movies where, sometimes say, well, we'll remake it. We can remake this movie and do it better because we have better technology, better gore effects, better whatever. But when you watch it, then you go back and look at the original one and you realize that there's really not very much difference. It's in color, and yes, you got some gore. Yes, there's, a lot, maybe a little bit more sex in it per se. But as far as the story goes, as far as the horror goes, it hasn't changed. It's still the same.
Very similar, and both of them deal very much in like just because we can do something with science, should we? Which is interesting that Jeff Goldblum, who said that in Jurassic Park, plays that character. They both deal with that really well. But yeah, they're both very effective and really just, incredible films. I'm just sad that the original gets so overshadowed. Here's the funny thing. I distinctly remember watching that movie dozens of times as a kid, and it was in black and white. I swear to God, it was in black and white. It's like that Mandela effect. But apparently that movie was filmed in color. It's always been in color. It's never been released in black and white. The sequel is, because it didn't have as big of a budget. Return of the Fly is, and I think even Curse of the Fly is. But apparently the original 1958 The Fly has always been in color. Like, I bought it on Blu-ray and it was in color. And I was like, oh, well, damn. Why'd they colorize it? I want the one I remember from when I was a kid. Apparently I'm a crazy person and it's always been in color.
Wow, I seem to remember it was color too. But then I just watched the giant Gila monster the other day, and I watched it and it was in color, and I'm going like, I know I'm not nuts, but that was black and white. I know that was in black and white.
On Elvira, it's in black and white. I just saw that recently, rewatching this set here. And that one, it's in black and white.
Do you like black and white movies? Are they big? Are they pretty good for you? I mean, if you saw one out there you wanted, you collect it?
Absolutely. I have tons of black and white movies in my collection. I got all the old Universals. I'm a big fan of great storytelling, whether it be from the 1920s or the 2020s. I think a great story is timeless. So I like silent films. I like movies from the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, you name it. I think every decade of horror does a good job of kind of commenting on the fears of society at the time. And even more interesting when you go to other countries, like what were they afraid of at the time? Mm-hmm. And so you really get an understanding of, our history as people when you explore movies, like not just modern films, but, classic ones as well.
It's amazing how some countries or some, they'll, like, if you really think about it, you think about Godzilla, right? It came out in 1954, and it was the fear about the atomic bomb. It's really shocking to think that it was only 9 years before it came out that they were hit by the atomic bomb. You just would have been, it's just how close it was to that, before you got a movie about the fears of that.
And even in America in the 50s, they called it, in horror, it was the atomic age. All the movies were about giant spiders and giant this and, things that had been affected by radiation. So they were massive. And that's what we were afraid of. And also there was like body snatcher movies because people are afraid of, like, the bad guy hiding in plain sight. And I think it's really cool. And one of the most important movies of all time is Night of the Living Dead was the first movie where it wasn't a big atomic monster. It was your next door neighbors. It was people who looked completely normal. And it was just in your backyard. It wasn't anything to do with radiation and stuff. And that movie, I think, completely changed horror. If it wasn't for Night of the Living Dead, I don't think there would be a lot of the movies that we have today.
I think you can go back a little earlier. I think you can go back even to the Twilight Zone for opening that door.
Twilight Zone does a great job too. And my favorite author is Richard Matheson. Richard Matheson is such a just amazing creative person. He has done some of the scariest shit I've ever read, like I Am Legend, which don't stick with a Will Smith movie. It does not do it justice. It misses the point of how when something becomes the boogeyman, it becomes eternal. It lives beyond. It becomes a legend. When you become a legend, you can't die. And so there's something important about the fact that this man survives so long that he becomes the thing that vampires are afraid of. And that movie didn't catch that. It didn't catch it at all. And that book is so fucking powerful. It's so powerful. And I want us to get a film adaptation that does it justice. We've got things close like The Last Man on Earth, but that book is incredible. But he also did What Dreams May Come, which is one of the most romantic movies ever. Also, Somewhere in Time. The book was Big Time Return. He's done some of the best episodes of The Twilight Zone, like the one with the gremlin on the plane. Just incredible author.
Yeah, Richard Matheson is a master, true master. I mean, I actually really like him. I'll tell you the truth. I actually like his writing more than I like Stephen King's. For one thing, he knows how to end a damn story.
Yeah, he's one of Stephen King's favorite authors too. And in fact, Richard Matheson wrote Duel, which was the movie that became the movie that was Steven Spielberg's first movie. But in tribute to Richard Matheson, because that was Stephen King's favorite author, he wrote a story similar to it about motorcycles. It was motorcyclists, like a motorcycle gang called Road Rage. He wrote that with Joe Hill, his son. But yeah, that was actually really cool.
Let's see. Let's see if we can find some. Oh yeah, Danny's saying here. This is probably what it is. Probably watched it on a black and white TV. That's probably what happened. We probably watched it.
No, because I remember when we got a Betamax, and I remember we got. God, I sound so old. I remember we got a VHS player. My mom had a movie of the month club. And I remember watching Mary Poppins in color. I remember watching Wizard of Oz in color. Like Wizard of Oz scared the shit out of me. I remember that one pretty clearly. So I don't know why I remember this movie in black and white. I mean, I do know we had a black and white TV when we came to America because we just didn't, we had to get rid of a lot of stuff when we came to America. And so we had a black and white TV for about a year. And I thought it was weird because In Living Color was on television. I'm like, what a weird name for a black and white show. So, but yeah.
Let's see we catch up on the chat. Mentioned let's see it's the first movie that Neon Black remember us watching was The Howling. That was a great one. Mr. Flixer's first horror movie was Scream.
Good movie.
Kubrick's his first horror film was The Shining. I'm sure Casey's was Godzilla, so I can move along there. Let's see. Monkey has a question for Gory. Do you remember the teenage horror film about exploding teenagers who kept popping like blood bags? I don't know that one. Was that
Teenagers from Outer Space?
Yeah. I
need more details.
Yeah, more details. Let's see. Ice Lord says, I don't know the name of the movie, but the first thing I got my eyes covered for was a girl knifing a guy playing piano. Wow, that'll be interesting.
I know a girl garroting a guy with a piano would probably be Audition, but again, more details.
First time I saw Original Fly was in The Little Monsters. Let's see. It was Steven saying it was the Cert Effect. We all remember stuff differently. Worlds are emerging. That could be true.
I believe it.
Yep. I know. Yep.
Yeah. That's probably what it is. I'm sorry. I got excited. Martin said Spontaneous. Is that the one they meant? That's a recent movie. Where for no reason the kids' heads just explode. That was a good movie.
Yeah, I remember that. That's not that long ago.
Yeah, I thought they were talking about like an older movie, but
there's also that Ready or Not, or was it Ready or Not, or whatever, where they had like overnight to kill the bride. If not, they all exploded.
Yeah, they all exploded at the end of that one too. Oh, damn! Spoiler alert.
Whoops. Scanners too. They exploded there too.
Yeah, the trouble is with Scanners is it's like a freaking water slide. You wait the whole damn movie, which in my opinion is really slow and kind of boring, just to see that head explode, and then it's like
Oh man, you can't deny that final fight though between
that final fight is pretty rad. It's just I feel like the movie doesn't really pick up until the third act, which is weird.
It needed more Michael Ironside.
I agree.
Let's see. Martin saying his grandparents had Wizard of Oz on VHS, and they'd always skip the flying monkeys because they worried it would scare me.
My mom said it was the Munchkins that scared me. So
I
watch a lot of scary movies, but apparently the Munchkins freaked me out.
Thanks for coming in, Warm Strong Adventures. Glad you're here. We're talking with our friend Gory B movie, and we are just finding out some of her early horror memories. Ton of memories. So what was the first movie that did actually scare you?
I mean, I remember more the idea of a lot of movies scared me. Like, at the beginning of Twilight Zone, the movie where he's like, you want to see Dan Aykroyd's like, you want to see something really scary? I would never look. Never. I would go hide behind the couch. That scared the shit out of me, and I didn't even see what it was. Carrie scared me, mostly the part at the end where she grabs Sue Snell's leg from the
Right.
grave. That scared the shit out of me. So much so that I would run and dive into my bed because I thought Carrie was going to grab me, but my bedroom was on the second floor. So Carrie would be like jumping up and down on the couch downstairs. I was a big baby. Like I loved watching scary movies, but I got scared of everything. I would watch everything with a pillow in my lap. And the movie that actually made me get rid of the pillow, my dad said that there was basically 3 movies that were forbidden. I was not allowed to see The Exorcist, Dawn of the Dead, or The Evil Dead. And The Exorcist, I caught a snippet of that at a friend's house, and right when she gets that bulge in her neck, I'm like, "Yep, I'm done. I can't watch anymore." Like I understood that movie was really scary, and I didn't watch until a long time later. Just seeing pictures of her face and like my mom's movie catalogs would scare the shit out of me. I think Exorcist might be the scariest movie of all time. That movie scared me.
It could be.
Dawn of the Dead, we had a babysitter who was really cool. He was like this like punk guy that my dad worked with, and he said I could watch that, and I was super chuffed. And so we were watching it, and I got 5 minutes in, and that guy's getting all eaten up, and I'm like, damn it! But I didn't want to look uncool, so I was like, oh, I gotta go check on my brothers. But thanks for the movie, guys. Trying to play it cool. That movie was scary, but the one that made me drop the pillow was Evil Dead. I finally rented that, because that was the movie that scares the hell out of my dad. These are the movies that scared him. He was afraid of The Exorcist, oddly enough, because he had a little girl who looked kind of like that. But yeah, he was terrified of The Evil Dead more than anything. That scene with the girlfriend's chanting, like, not another peep, time to go to sleep. We rented that from Blockbuster, my brothers and I, and we were laughing our asses off. Like even the first one has a lot of really funny stuff, funny moments in it. The second one's way more funny, but the first one's still pretty funny. And I just could not believe that a grown-ass man was so terrified of this movie. And I was like, yeah, I don't need the pillow anymore. I got this.
Right. That's I wanted to circle back real quick you touched upon Night of the Living Dead. I remember that was probably one of the first movies that actually made me mad, like angry. I was so pissed at that movie. I was so pissed at the end. It was just like, that's so messed up. It's not right.
I don't think American audiences were really ready for that, because American movies, especially at the time, always had a happy ending. You always found a way to get rid of the ghost or the monster or whatever. American movies always had a hero at the end. Yeah. A lot of British movies end tragically. They end with a gut punch. And that's exactly what that movie does. And so like, I hate it, but I do think it was the best way to end the movie.
Well, that was back then during the 60s, during the late 60s, during the Cold War, during the late 60s and all through the 70s. Hollywood would not put out a happy ending to save his life. You could not find a happy ending. Every single movie always had a doom and gloom ending during the 70s.
The world changed, things, you couldn't pretend that the world was all sugar and spice, with what inspired Night of the Living Dead, the footage of Vietnam on TV was so graphic. It was scarier than any of the damn movies, and Sam Raimi, or not Sam Raimi,
Romero.
No, damn it. Tom Savini was supposed to do the makeup for Night of the Living Dead, and he actually got drafted. So he couldn't do that. That's why he did it for Dawn of the Dead. But yeah, essentially George Romero was like, I want it to look like the horrible stuff, from the footage, and that's how Tom Savini approached like dead bodies and stuff. He'd seen dead bodies. He took pictures of the stuff he saw because he wanted to make it as accurate as possible. That's why they're kind of bluish in Dawn of the Dead, because everyone gets kind of gray after you die.
Yeah, you lose all your color because the blood that goes from your body.
And he would correct things. He's like, the mouth needs to sag open and stuff. That's what happens when you die. Like he knew this stuff.
Yeah,
the real world became horrifying in the movies.
It was just a really bleak time. It was just a super bleak, and it was we had the Cold War, but we got a lot of classic movies out of it. It shaped our way how horror was looked at. It was like, no, you're not entitled to the happy ending. Sometimes things don't always go to be happy endings. and sometimes we have bad things happen, and this is, and here it is. And so not only our horror movies were like that, but our dramas were like that. Okay, I think I'm being hit by one of those bots again. This is
But yeah,
terrible.
even now though, I mean, I think America has changed a lot since American films of like the 50s and stuff, and Technicolor, where everything was so happy. But I was surprised when I got into like Japanese horror movies, like, wait, they don't get rid of the ghost. It just, you can't. They don't believe in that. They don't believe that you can kill a ghost. They don't believe you can exorcise it. Like a ghost, an evil spirit, will live on endlessly. And when it's done with you, it will find somebody else. And there's nothing you can do. And it's a really scary idea. And I thought that was so scary because I was used to things like even The Entity, which is based on a true story. Like they try to freeze it at the end. You get a little thing at the end saying it followed her for the rest of her life. But the movie, like, it tried to give you some kind of a resolution. And yeah, just looking at movies from different cultures and stuff, like, it's a lot different. Like a lot of great movies that are foreign, they change the endings when they come to America because they say American audiences can't handle it. Like The Descent. The original ending of The Descent is great. The
Yeah.
American one, they try to give it a happy ending. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I mean, it's like it's good to sometimes be scared. It's good to sometimes to have that, because it causes you to think a lot more. It
I think
causes you
so.
to think. To dwell upon it. To me, that's a sign of a good movie. Regardless, is after the movie's over, the first thing you want to do is talk about it. You want to go out there and you want to talk about it.
Like, I still remember seeing Saw, and just the ending of that movie just got like shook me. Like I didn't talk, and I always talk. I didn't talk for half an hour after that movie. I was just like, holy shit, that was an ending.
Yeah, yeah. I was I was like that. I was like that. I'm trying to think of the. I mean, I remember I saw Dawn of the Dead, too, when it came out to theater, and it was the first time I actually had to have an parent's approval to go see a movie, even though they knew me. They knew me. All the theater people knew me. But for Dawn of the Dead, they had to say, hey, they have to say, your parents have to come over and say it's cool. So I had to go grab them, and then we watched it, and then we came out of the theater. We're just looking at each other, and we're like, holy shit. And we saw people get sick in the theater too. They're running up the aisle.
I'm curious to know when you saw if it was that way, but I have a poster of Dawn of the Dead and it says it was NC-17. So like,
Yeah, I was
like that.
I was 14 when I saw it. Yeah, that's what I mean. That before I could always get it to go in to see a rated R movie, they didn't care. But because it was NC-17, they had to have my parents come over there and sit there and say, yeah, he wants to see it. Let him go see it. And
I had to have that with the movie theater here. My mom would have to like come up to the window and be like, yeah, she's fine. She's fine, which was really annoying for her when I saw Interview the Vampire like 7 freaking times in the theater.
What are some of your favorite movies when you're growing up? I mean, that you that have stayed with you now to adulthood, besides
I think my favorite horror movie of all time is probably Fright Night. I love that one when I was a kid. I love it now. I like a lot of creature features from the 80s. I like a lot of Wes Craven. But I think I feel lucky that I think like the 80s had a lot of the fun creature features and effects and stuff. And I watched a lot of that as a kid. And then the 90s really became a teen directed like era. All the movies were trying to be hip and witty and had great soundtracks. And it was a cool time to be a teenage horror fan. And so like The Craft is also one of my favorite movies. Love that one. Saw that in the theater. I love Scream. There's a lot of great movies in the 90s. The 90s gets kind of dunked on a lot, but a lot of my favorite movies are from the 90s. I also just like really cheesy movies. I love the movie Uninvited about the cat that pukes up a smaller cat. Fucking love that movie.
I gotta see that one.
Oh yeah, it's by Graydon Clark, the guy who did Joysticks. See, there's a picture of it right there. I think we talked about it on the cat stream. But yeah, the cat was experimented on, and they take it on a boat, and when it gets threatened,
that was probably
comes out of its mouth.
I think that was probably your best stream you've ever done. Do you agree?
I don't know, but I had a lot of fun.
I mean, any movie with cats in it, right? But I do want to circle back and talk about one other thing too, because you mentioned this too. And I wanted to talk to you about it because I know that it's important to you. But how old were you when you discovered the world of Wiccan and witchcraft?
Well, like I said, I came from kind of a weird town where people are very superstitious, and my grandmother's very spiritual. Like was big into like astrology and tarot readings and stuff like that. So I was pretty familiar with a lot of the stuff. But in my opinion, a lot of that witch stuff was kind of like it was like old lady stuff. So I had never really heard of like modern day like people practicing it or younger people practicing. And then I saw the craft and I was like, oh, cool, and then from there I started, looking into like Wicca. And when you become Wiccan, you study for a year and a day. So I decided to do that and I did my devotional. My mom was super awesome. She gave me my first athame and my first pentacle. She still gets me gifts every year on my devotional day. So yeah, I've been pagan since I was about 16.
Have you ever tossed?
Have I ever what?
Have you ever tossed? Have you ever cast?
Oh, cast spells?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I think we talk a lot about Wicca. I don't think you need to do spellcraft to be Wiccan or to be
no, I
it's
don't
a
think you need
belief
to.
system, and mostly I would say the core of being Wiccan is paying attention to your energy. That alone, there's magic in that, paying attention to the energy in all living things, respecting the energy in all living things. But also like, you just smile at a stranger. That's a little bit of magic. You've sent good energy to them and you're going to get that back times 3. Just like if you're a dick to somebody, you say something nasty to somebody, it feels shitty and you're going to get it back times 3. So a big part of being a witch is just managing your energy, like paying attention to what you are putting out there, respecting the energy around you. But yeah, I mostly pull out spells for like the big guns when I feel like, I tend to trust the universe, but every so often when it just feels like there's like something's not going right, then I will, but
Like,
yeah.
you ever watch movies and see all the mistakes they make?
Mhm.
It's sort of scary. That can I be honest with you? As far as horror, like I love supernatural horror, but one of the things that really scares the shit out of me is when I see a movie with the occult in it, and they're doing the pentagram or the hexagram, and they don't do wards. They just draw the big circle around, and they don't do it. They don't set up the protection of it. And like,
I would like to, what I really, really want. I feel like as woke as our society is now, there is still so much prejudice against people who are pagan, and it's really frustrating. I've had people spit in my face. People who were my friends like never want to see me again because they find out I'm pagan. When I was a teenager, I had friends, moms and stuff, who thought I was great one day, and then the next day told me I'm going to hell. It's people can put crosses and stuff in their front yard, and that's not a big deal whether you believe in it or not. You respect their right to believe in it. If I did that, the neighborhood would freak out. I know they would. If you do anything witchy in public, I can't even wear a pentacle in public because I've done it before, and people are nasty, and I'm not hurting them, so I don't understand it. And to a degree, I blame movies, because one of the things I hate more than anything is in any movie, but we see it a lot in horror, where they use just because they're this explanation for why something is evil. And it happens with witches a lot. Why are the witches in Suspiria bad? Because they're witches. Why is Bathsheba in The Conjuring killing children? Because she's a witch. That is not an explanation. That's like me asking, well, why do you stream, old dude cheetah? Because you wear glasses. Like, it doesn't make sense. The two are not correlated. You need an explanation. It's really frustrating. Really frustrating. I think when you
you're right.
Anybody,
not only that, Gory, but it's incredibly dangerous.
it is, because you're
irresponsible. It's irresponsible.
Yeah, you're dehumanizing a group of real people. And the problem is when you treat any group of people like they are not human, that gives people license to do truly evil things to them. It happened with, racism in like the 60s. They're like, well, they're not human, So it's okay for us to do this. It happened during World War II and the Holocaust. Well, the Jewish people are not human, so we can do this. When you say that anybody is not human, then it makes people feel like it's okay to do truly evil things.
Yeah.
And even now, like, people I've had people tell me I'm exaggerating. There has been in the last 2 years, two like Christian groups who've made national news because they threatened people's lives because they said that there's a witch in their church or something. Like, it's kind of funny until somebody actually ends up getting killed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's funny that like they're that stupid, but and they really honestly think that anybody, pagan is trying to infiltrate their church. They're probably just angry at somebody and trying to pull all like, witch hunt type methods. But when you do that, eventually someone's going to get hurt, and that's really dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, you try to tell people to educate themselves, educate themselves about it. And, and it's, have you ever read about it? Have you ever talked to anybody about it? You ever done anything? No. I just got told by somebody, I spent 5 years studying it. I spent 5 years, and I talked to people, I talked to several witches and warlocks, and, I got to know what it was and how, and it's like, that's what you do. In order to understand it, you got to ask questions. You got to read about it. You got to educate, and, now here we are, we're talking with you, and what are you doing? You're educating us. So everybody here in the chat, we're all going to learn something new from you because we're asking the questions. We're talking to you.
And I talked a lot about this on a stream with Monty, where we got pretty in depth into like, the myths about witchcraft. And the thing is, I don't have an issue with witches being villains in movies. I love a lot of witch movies. I love The Craft. It's got villainous witches. I love Hocus Pocus. But you need to give me a solid motivation for your bad guy. I don't even care if it's a creature feature. I get frustrated with creature features like that too. Like, a great creature feature is Cujo. I know why the dog is doing it. With
that movie's sad as hell, though. Is that a horror movie to you?
Yes, it is. But I don't like movies where I'm not given a motivation, and you can never just tell me, well, because they're a witch. I hate the Conjuring movies because they've done a lot of damage. They are propaganda films, in my opinion, about the good Christians fighting the evil witches in all three movies. Why are they evil? Because they're a witch, because they're not Christian. Of course they're evil. Oh, for fuck's sake. Have you seen interviews with the real Warrens? They were charlatans. Yeah. I think the characters they created for the movies are charming and lovable, but that is nothing like the real people. There's a reason why they haven't done their most famous case, which was the Amityville horror case, because people have come out and said that the whole thing was a hoax.
Right.
So, but those movies, like, they get teenagers and stuff, and they get it in their heads that if somebody practices witchcraft, they are evil. They need to be destroyed. For no reason other than
Hollywood, I mean, you're right. I mean, Hollywood does that really well. It marginalizes groups. But sometimes too, there's also this saying too. Sometimes the greatest evil is right in plain sight. It's like you're looking at it, but you don't see what you're seeing. You don't understand what you're looking at. I agree for the most part, for sure, definitely. I do think there is a dark side to the art, though. I mean, you can't deny that. I mean,
well, I think there is
not everybody in the occult is open in energy. There's some that are.
I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying give me motivation. Like Nancy in The Craft, she is a villain. I understand why she's doing it. She feels powerless. She feels she's been abused. Is she in the right? Absolutely not. Is she scary? Yes. Yeah. Is she a villain? Yes. But I know why she's doing it. Hellbender, great witch movie. I know why they're doing it. You can make a Pyewacket, great witch movie. I know why she's doing it. Just don't give me movies like Suspiria and The Conjuring, where you're not developing your character. You're taking a cheap shortcut, and you're just trying to say, well, because they're a monster, because witches are monsters. That is why.
No, not at all. I don't. Yeah, you mentioned Pyewacket. Oh my God! How did you? Okay, now I've had this. Okay, everybody knows I see midnight movies, so I got that movie. I love the acting in that movie, but for the love of God, why didn't they show Pyewacket?
I wish they would have. It is really low budget. I also like that movie shows the other thing that's and this one is just it doesn't bother me, but it is. I wish they would show witchcraft as it actually is. A lot of witchcraft is just playing with stinky herbs and grinding things and lighting things on fire. It's all very practical and it's all very boring, and there's no force lightning. Pyewacket does a good job of showing what actual spellcraft is like. And
Yes,
it's
they
still
did.
effective. It's still scary. People have told me, well, you need to have them have Jedi powers or it would be boring. I don't think
No.
Pyewacket was boring at all.
I didn't either. I liked how she I thought the scene of her casting was very realistic, very true to form. There's a couple of things I probably would have did differently, but I'm glad they didn't because you don't want to show too much. Because there are people out there that will copycat that shit. They will copycat it, and because they see it on it's like anything else, right? They see something they like and they want to do it as well. We were talking about that earlier within Jackass. They had to put disclaimers up. Don't jump off a 5 foot. Don't jump off a 5-story building. And you think that why do you have to even tell anybody that? But yet you still got to do it.
It's called Jackass for a reason. But it's entertaining. But I like that Pyewacket and the Craft, they deal with the real horror of witchcraft. And like I said, it's all about your energy. We do not have a book that tells us how to behave. I know witches across the spectrum. I know witches who do more dark magic. I'll tell you right now, the darker the magic, the stinkier the stuff. When you deal with dark magic, you have to work with like cat pee, nails, all kinds of gross stuff, blood, like that is all accurate. You deal with pretty nasty stuff. I don't really do a lot of spellcraft. I don't do anything like that because I don't want the negative energy back on me. I'm not afraid of any like deity that's going to punish me. I just don't want the negative energy back on me. But
your husband mentioned that your husband mentioned screw the Warrens, and I said agreed. I said I see more fake Christians, they scare me more than any other, any.
We've never had a moment in history where witches legitimately rose up and attacked good Christian people.
No.
There's the satanic panic era where they want you to believe that we did, but no, we've never done that. And
no.
That's what's really frustrating is more Christians have more blood on their hands than I think just about.
Oh my God, more people have died in the name of God than anything else on the planet.
But they try to convince you that everybody else is evil. But like I was saying, with the witch movies, I think the scariest thing is when you feel powerless and you think, well, I could just do a spell to get that person to like me, to get vengeance on that person who wronged me. And that's a cost. There's no God or anything that's going to say, well, you're justified because you were fucked over. That's not how the universe works. You will still get it back ×3. It does not care. We don't have like a God who's like, well, if you pray about it, we'll forgive you. No, there's no forgiveness. Even if you are justified, if you do something dark, it comes back ×3. And so you have to weigh it. Is the result important enough to me that I'm going to accept that negative energy that I know I'm going to get? And it does do things to you. And I think there's a certain seduction to that. It's dark and it's scary, and that makes for a good horror movie. Pyewacket did that. She wanted revenge so bad, and she wasn't prepared for what she called upon.
No. That's the thing. That's the thing about a lot of young people when they they do movies like that and they show that sort of thing, and that kind of casting, and people they don't realize that, and they think it's a lot of people will sit there and say, oh, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. I don't. It doesn't care what you believe or not. It just is what it is. It's like, I don't believe it's sunny tomorrow, but guess what? When the sun comes up, whether you like it or not, it's sunny. Despite what you think or what you want to believe, it's still going to be there. So it doesn't matter if you sit there and say, I don't believe in that stuff, or that stuff's not, it's not real or whatnot. It is, whether you want it to be or not. It's just, and you have to treat it with respect. I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry that you were mistreated. I never believed in that at all. And to me, the worst thing, of course, this might get me some hate, but the worst thing to me on the planet is fake Christianity. People who think this country is a Christian nation, they haven't been paying attention to it, not for a while. Uh,
I mean, I believe anybody who I've known wonderful Christian people. I've known wonderful people of just about every religion. I think religion's fascinating. And if one thing I've noticed is true in almost every religion I've ever studied, is they have some version of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. In Wicca, we call it the rule of three, but almost all religions have that. And I believe that spirituality is like a diamond. And I'm willing to say that I've got it 90% wrong. Most everybody on the planet probably does. We don't know all the answers until we die. You just need to find the answers that get you through the day that you can live with. You are going to be wrong. We're all wrong. We can't possibly understand. But I do think that there are some universal truths, and I think that's one of them. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Yeah,
and when you ignore that for some dogma in a book that tells you that it's okay to be cruel to other people, I think that's when the religion gets in the way, you know?
Let's see. Kubrick says he doesn't believe, I don't believe in original sin. Yeah. Let's see. Yep, I agree with that, Kubrick. Let's get back to something a little bit more fun. Now, how old were you when
you?
I love it. I could keep going for a long time. I really do, but I want to bring it back to something more fun. And the other thing I noticed you mentioned too was roller derby. I did not know you were a roller derby. So how did you get involved in that?
We have a pretty great league in Washington, the Rat City Roller Girls. And I saw a really good documentary called Blood on the Flat Track. And I was just like, I want to do that. It looks so fun. Then the movie Whip It came out. And I just really, really wanted to do that. I was just got out of college and I was going through kind of a dark time. I thought when I graduated college, I worked really hard. I was a single mom and I got my degree. I got great grades and I couldn't find a job, and things were a lot different than when I was younger, where you would turn in a paper application, it was all online and I wasn't hearing back from anything. And I was staying with my mom and I felt like I had this little kid and I just felt like a loser. And I kind of wanted to find something to invest in. And then it just like at the right, perfect moment, I saw an advertisement online, I think on Facebook, that someone was starting a roller derby league and they only had like 5 people. So I was there for the very first meeting. And I was one of like the original people in Apple City roller derby. And I played roller derby for about 5 years. The first year was just getting the league together, recruiting and stuff. But we had a league of over like 500 people. And then, it got really big. We had shows in bouts in town that, had, stands were packed. We traveled, we went to big competitions and stuff. It was really fun and really exciting. And I'm still very close to my derby sisters. Like we still, talk and hang out and stuff. So it's formed lifelong bonds.
John mentioned he felt the pain of being persecuted. Have you met John Horton at all?
Nope.
You guys can connect for sure. So John Horton is one of the bravest people you'll probably meet. He's a schizophrenic, and he's gone and shared with us about his journey. He says he feels the pain of being persecuted because of his schizophrenia. I've never had anybody just come out now and admit that. And and hearing his side of the story, he's one of the bravest people I know. And he's a super nice guy, loves horror movies. Just a really nice guy. I'm gonna put, if he can, go ahead and connect. I'm not sure I think Casey.
I'm Gory B movie on everything, so just come find me. But I do have a friend who's schizophrenic, and it was really interesting to me because she would explain to me that she didn't want to take the medication, and I just, being ignorant of it, I couldn't understand why. Like, why would you want that? Why would to me the idea of hearing voices of things that weren't there was terrifying. Couldn't understand it. Then I saw, and it's silly, but horror movies heal us. I saw the movie The Voices, and if you haven't seen that, it's about Ryan Reynolds. Yeah. And when he's unmedicated, he has schizophrenia. He has friends. His dog and his cat talk to him. The dog's like, "You're a good boy," and the cat's like, "You should kill people."
That's so wrong, though. That's so wrong.
Well, a little bit, but they're basically the devil and the angel on his shoulder. But the thing that was the biggest thing is the whole world's beautiful and bright and technicolor, and so when he's medicated, he sees things as they actually are. It's dark and it's boring and it's not color. And his animals don't talk to him and he's lonely and he's weird. And yeah, there's a lot of things that movie didn't get right. But as far as it made me understand why somebody with that wouldn't want to take their medication. His mom is schizophrenic too. And she thought she heard the voice of angels. I never thought of that before. So for me, that was a big eye opener. Another movie that I thought was really good that dealt with schizophrenia, which a lot of people didn't like, I thought it was really good, was Fear of Rain. The main character in that, Rain, she has schizophrenia. And I guess she has like these questions she has to ask herself to see if something's real. And
I think St. Maud was like that too. I think she has schizophrenia.
She has, I think she has PTSD in St. Maud, but she's traumatized by what happened on her job. But I don't know, St. Maud's a whole other ball of wax. But in Fear of Rain, she does have diagnosed schizophrenia, and she believes that she sees a girl who's been kidnapped, and nobody will believe her because she's schizophrenic. Like instantly, she has no credibility. And I just thought, like, that's tragic. That's to never have anyone listen to you, to not have a voice just because of a condition that you have.
Right. I would, yeah, I just think it's totally, it sucks, and to go through that, it would be, it's, and to come out and be open about it too, because it's not like a lot of people could sit there and they could talk about their mental health. I have mental health issues. I'm having a stress time. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And everybody will come and hug you and all support you. But you go out there and say, yeah, I'm schizophrenic. Nobody wants to come. Nobody wants to be around you.
Again, it's because
everybody's scared of you.
In a lot of movies like Psycho and stuff, if you have a mental disorder, you have a serious mental disorder, you are the killer in the movie. Movies have taught us that somebody who's schizophrenic, movies have taught us that schizophrenia and psychopathy are the same thing. And they're not.
No,
if you're a psychopath, yes, you will kill people. You have a disorder that's very scary. And we should be afraid of people who are psychopaths because they genuinely want to kill people. But that's really rare. And most people who are schizophrenic are not psychopaths. But movies have taught us that it's one and the same, that the killer, they did it because they heard voices. And that really sucks. And it sucks for a lot of mental disorders too. And I love, it's so weird because I love movies, but on the same hand, movies have done a lot of damage. They've done damage to people who are pagan. They've done damage to people with mental illness. They've done damage to people of color. They've done damage to people who are like transgender. For the longest time, if there was a transgender character in a movie, they were the bad guy. Only recently are we getting heroes who are transgender. So yeah, movies need to catch up with the times and give us real representations of real people, not sensationalize or demonize people.
No, if you go back and see used to go back there and see all the stereotypes that were portrayed during the 60s, 70s, 80s, whatnot. I mean, you're right. I mean, everybody that's different, anybody that's not part of like the Hollywood norm is always going to be considered an outcast, a rogue, evil or what have you. Yeah, I agree with that. It's like I like movies too. But like the one thing that really gets me is like how Hollywood has really glamorized the violence, right? They glamorize the violence, and then what gets me is when something happens, like Chicago or Las Vegas or something like that, or UVid down in Texas, it's like you get all these people saying how I'm so sorry. They post all their pictures of all the victims and whatnot, and it's like, but you're part of the problem. You don't understand that you are part of the problem. Every time you go out there and you're showing off showing movies like Heat. Like I love Heat. I think story-wise Heat is great, but Jesus Christ, I can't think of a better propaganda film for automatic weapons than Heat. That big old gunfight in the middle of the street. I mean, you just know that there's guys sitting there going like, that's porn to them,
One thing I will say is horror movies get blamed for a lot of that stuff, and I disagree. I think in horror movies, if you do bad shit, there tends to be consequences. In action movies, you can kill 50 people in 5 seconds and there's no consequences. You're the hero. None of those bodies are mourned. None of them are people. They are just things that have bullets in them. And so the horror movies always get to blame. But honestly, if you're going to point the finger at a movie genre, I would say action movies.
What horror movies have actually really disturbed you, Gory? What movies have really just like stayed with you?
I think the only movie that really broke me was The Girl Next Door. Like that that movie was really hard. I mean, it is based on a true story. And that's the thing, like, to a large extent, I will say that movies aren't to blame. I think there are just people who are fucked up in this world. And that movie is based on a real story that happened in the damn 50s. But back then, people would cover up things and stuff. And I do think we need like better gun control and stuff so that people who have these issues don't have access to things to do a lot of damage. But I don't think it's because of movies. I think it's because those people have problems. I think it's because our laws need to be better and stuff. But movies, I feel like movies help us to deal with a lot of this shit. And just on the one hand, just as I say that movies are to blame for a lot of the things that I don't like, movies also do a lot of great things too. I think movies help people heal from really horrible shit. Like there's so many, I've heard so many people who are like gay tell me like watching slasher movies where these, little like girls were able to stand up against these horrible monsters and stuff, like made them feel like they could stand up against their bullies. Or watching Frankenstein where the monster was sympathetic and they're like, I get that feeling like I'm a monster and having feelings and hurting and sympathize. Like I was a kid, I sympathized with the monsters. I think horror movies heal people a lot too. And I think there's something special when you see that movie that you just connect with. You feel seen by that movie. And again, that's why I think representation is so important, because there's something really special when you watch a movie and you see a character that they're just like you and you feel seen, you feel heard.
Danny's mentioning the new Batman movie. Batman kills lots of people on the highway trying to catch the Penguin. No one even remotely seemed to care. Yeah. And that's interesting you bring up Batman, because we brought that up a while ago. We brought up like who's we brought up about Batman. We're talking about that, and we're talking about the Dark Knight Rises, and it was really funny, or the Dark Knight. It was really funny is everybody's talking about Heath Ledger, Joker, crazy killer or whatever, and we really thought about it. Going like, the Joker's not really the villain here. It's actually Batman. Batman has always been the villain. He's always has. He's never been the hero like we think that he is. He's always been, because he could have stopped it. He could have stopped it, but he never did. Out of some sort of a twisted, self entitlement. It's like he treats his rogue gallery. It's like a little plaything, but in actuality, it's like, dude, the guy just got done killing 100 people. Why is he still breathing?
But yeah, I mean, I like what Kubrick said. No amount of watching violent movies is going to make you do that. I've watched a shit ton of violent movies. I've seen Cannibal Holocaust a dozen fucking times. I've played so many first-person shooter games, and I would never, ever kill somebody. I would never I don't even want to own a gun. I would never do that. There's actually a lot of studies, like Eli Roth has shared some, and there's a book on it, how a lot of people who watch a lot of violent movies, maybe just because we have an outlet for it, tend to be the people less likely to do it. I hate that it happens in our world, but I think
that's what happens. That's what happens when you put millions of guns in one place. You put there's more guns in America than there are Americans. And that's the thing. Like we have 345 million people, but we have like over 400 million guns. Of course, that's going to happen. Of course,
I agree.
So, real quick, gosh, man, we can keep going.
I think that's why we have movies like The Purge and stuff, because, like I said, movies reflect the fears of our time, and I think a lot of Americans, like me, like like you, like a lot of people, we're afraid of our freaking neighbors, coming at us with a gun for no reason except for that we were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Yeah. And so I think movies like The Purge and stuff, it's a way of like, for filmmakers to express those fears, but I think they really do comment on the fears of our culture right now.
Yeah, it really is that way. I mean, how many times have you people are in the wrong place at the wrong time? It's so right. It's, before it always used to be just a personal thing. It's like, I'm mad at you, so I'm going to get you. Now it's like you go get a hamburger and, you could end up dying because someone wants to pop off a few rounds without there's nothing, you didn't do anything to deserve it. You weren't, you just happened to be there.
There's no safe places. I mean, and the elementary school, it's ridiculous. There's no safe places. Like now, if my son's almost 18, but if I had a kid now, I probably would homeschool him. I just would be too scared.
Yeah. That's why one of the reasons why I never had I never wanted a child. My brother was murdered when he was 20 years old,
I'm
and
so sorry.
by a kid with a stolen gun. He bought it for $40 off the street, and he came over, he was showing it off, and he killed my brother.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So, yeah, right there right there in front of his father and my younger brother. I was just like, well, there, holy shit. Um,
That's
so,
awful.
back to roller derby,
I'm
which
so
is a lot
sorry.
more fun. Which is a
I am
lot more fun.
I
Uh,
am a downer on the stream today. Damn.
no, you know what though? Sometimes you need to have discussions like this. We need to have it out. We can't just hide it. Sometimes it's good to get it out in the open. It sort of releases all this stuff inside. Now you can voice it out and express an opinion and comment on it. So I don't mind talking like this. I'm down with it. I appreciate you being open and honest with us. I mean, what the hell? I mean, let's do it. But I
Yeah,
do want to talk about the roller derby because I used to love watching roller derby.
I
I
love
didn't I,
roller
I
derby.
didn't know I didn't know it was fake for a long time. I mean, as far as fake, as far as I didn't know the storylines were plotted out or whatnot. Now I know some of those falls were not fake. I know those fucking
Roller
hurt.
derby is not fake. I don't know where you got that from, but that's completely wrong.
Oh, really? You guys don't know who's going to win the match? Because
No,
down in LA, they used to have a big old roller derby league, and you always knew.
I've never heard of that before, ever.
Oh my gosh!
Played roller
Oh
derby for 5 years, watched all. No, roller derby is not like wrestling. It is not
oh my.
predetermined.
Yeah, I was gonna say you
We,
watched the
we
LA.
literally bled on that damn track trying
Yeah,
to win those bouts. It is not determined at all. None of the major league ones. I mean, roller derby is been it has its own cup. It's a legitimate sport. Not
do
at
they
all
still
predetermined.
are the LA T-Birds still around?
I don't know who they are.
Oh my gosh!
I know back in the 70s when so back in like the 70s, roller derby was a really cheap thing that you could have on TV all the time.
Yeah,
So they'd have it on a lot and they would sensationalize it a lot. They had bank track for starters, which is not what I played. I play flat track. Which bank track you can throw someone right over the railing. And they roller derby has always like had elements of wrestling in that like you have like big characters and stuff, but there's no way to fake that. People have died playing roller derby. Uh,
really?
yeah, there's one girl, Tequila Mockingbird. She fell back and hit her head and ended up being paralyzed. And luckily, the roller derby community is so cool that people pull together and help fundraise her, but she can't walk.
I mean, I
Um,
know
I
wrestling that.
had a friend who had 3 concussions and she can never skate again. Like we were worried she was going to have brain damage. I've been severely injured. I've broken my wrist. It was stupid. We were warming up and the referees were coming at us this way and they weren't watching and they're supposed to go around us because we're warming up and they were talking to each other, they weren't watching, completely plowed me. And I was like, God damn it. In roller derby, you're trying to like bounce up really quick. So I bounce up, get back in there, and I don't even think about it. Your adrenaline's going. I played a whole damn bout. A whole bout. And I got my ass thrown. I got Wile E. Coyote all over the place. I got beat up. Trust me, it is not fake. We watch Whip It. Like that's true. Like comparing your massive bruises, that's roller derby. Yeah, you have injuries from roller derby that will last the rest of your life. And even sports that are predetermined, like wrestling, are very dangerous, but it is not predetermined. We don't know who's going to win. But yeah, at the end of that bout, I went home. Oh, no. I went to the after party, won the after party, clog dancing that time. The next day, I woke up, my wrist was completely black because apparently I broke it and I played a whole damn bout on a broken wrist.
Wow. Yeah, back in the 70s when I used to watch it, it was yeah, you always knew who was going to win. I mean, you could sit there and call it. It was more like wrestling back then. So like the
Yeah,
LA T-Birds, they were the super glamour one, and they had all the characters, bigger life characters. It was a lot of fun. But that was actually the last time I actually really watched the match because you're right, because the independent stations went away and you didn't really get to see it on TV anymore. It just stopped being shown. In fact, I have not seen a roller derby match in probably close to 30 years.
I can't talk. I can't speak on roller derby from the 70s. I've heard about it. I've not seen it. I've seen some documentaries, but that's it. I wasn't alive in the 70s. But modern roller derby started in 2001. It was founded by TXRD, the Texas roller derby girls. And so roller derby is really fun because it is brutal. You have to work your ass off. You will get beat up. And what's fun about roller derby is you can hip check a girl, slam her, you can break her damn wrist, but there's no sorry in roller derby. We're all having fun. We're all playing a game and you're all friends afterwards. You're only sorry if you didn't give it your best, if you didn't skate your hardest, if you didn't skate your heart out. But yeah, you get beat up in roller derby.
So
and when they started it,
the one thing I wanted to ask because I never knew, but how does the damn game get won? What's the point of the? I mean, I know you guys all go around.
I'll break it down real quick. One, I highly recommend watching Whip It. That movie will help you get caught up on modern roller derby. But essentially, each team, you send out a pack, right? So your pack is a group of blockers and one pivot. The pivot has a stripe on their helmet. It is their job to essentially be kind of controlling the girls, because the other team's jammer. So the jammers have stars in their helmet. They score the points. They get a point for every blocker that they pass. So the opposing team, you cannot let their jammer get through, but you need to help your own jammer get through. So am I explaining this well enough?
So how many blockers and jammers are there a piece?
Let me back up. So the pack, like the referee will say this means the pack is here. You have to kind of stay within the pack. The pack, when you start, that's a good place to start. The start. So when you start, you have a line where the jammers start. You have, we'll say home and away team. The home team's jammer, the away team's jammer. They both stay there. They get ready to go. They need to go as fast as they can. They will get a point for every single person from the opposite team that they pass, except for the jammer. Now, about 4 feet ahead of them are all of the blockers from both teams. So what you would do if you're a blocker, you kind of position yourself. You get really low because you're harder to fall. I'm going to look ridiculous right now. You get really low and you position yourself around the other blockers, because the moment that whistle blows, it's game time. So there's 4 blockers from each team, and they each have a pivot who basically she'll be like, tell you what moves to do and stuff. Like she'll kind of direct you on where you should be going, or so what the plan is, or what the play is. There's six to a pack, right? A pivot, a jammer, and how many blockers? 4 blockers, 7. So you have 7? Yeah, I think that's about right. So so the moment the whistle blows, you try to knock the other girl over, and then you need to get ready, because when your jammer comes through, she needs help. So like the movie Whip It, it's called Whip It because a whip is when you put your hand back for your jammer, and then you throw her ahead as fast as you fucking can so she can get through the pack and score some points. It's your job to help her, but you also need to stop the other jammer. So you got to get your butt right on her, and you want to just sit on her as best you can and knock that little bitch over. And that's how you play a game.
Wow. And then you get points for every, and it's only like a 3-minute, it's like a 3-minute period, like a 3-minute. You're only out there for 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's been a while since I played. Yeah, it's only and I think they've changed it too. But yeah, it's only a few minutes. Do
you still go back out there and see your team? And is it league that you started?
My league still isn't around anymore. My league broke up. That's why I stopped playing. So my league broke up, and then they kind of separated, and I didn't really want to pick sides, so I just quit, retired. But I still like it. Huh?
You still got your uniform, hat, and skate? Oh, that's hot.
Well, you have helmets. Yeah, we had helmets we made. We were the Jawbreakers. So our original helmets look like the Jawbreaker candy. And then we got like these fancy iridescent colored ones. And then, I still have my uniform. We had a different uniform like every year. And then every season, I would change my face paint. So when I first started, I wanted to do, my son was 6. I wanted to do something that my son would think was cool. And my son liked Ninja Turtles. So my plan was I was going to be Prima Donatello, because you have to get a roller derby name. And I was going to do like a Ninja Turtle theme. And he looked at me and he's like, Mom, they are going to eat you alive. Like, you're too nice. They will kill you. And I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? He's like, well, you like bloody movies, Mom. You need to be bloody mama. You need to go scare the girls so they don't hurt you. And so I was like, okay, I like what you're cooking up here. And so we tossed around some names and we came up with Gory B movie number NC-17. And that was mine. And the first season I did Alice Cooper face paint. I did face paint every year. And the second season I did Jason Voorhees face paint. And people thought it was an actual mask. And then the next season I did Saw. I did so many different face paints like over the years. But it was really, really fun. And it's crazy because it's like so violent, but I think there's like something bonding about that because you don't have a grudge against any. You only get mad when someone like done fucks up. Like when someone fouls you, if you get a wrist in the face, that's going to piss you off because that's a foul. Yeah. No hands. Or if somebody just doesn't give it their all, like it does suck. Like what this is when the jam's called off. And we had a jammer who would do that. We're like, you were doing great. You could have got more points. That will piss you off. But for the most part, you don't care if somebody knocks you down or something. That is just playing the game and you bond. And it's a sisterhood. It's awesome. And so many, there's 500 people in that league.
Wow. That's a shame it's not still around. I definitely would. Is it on YouTube? You got any of your did anybody film when you were playing?
We had a lot of people who filmed it. I have videos.
You gotta drop that in the chat.
Oh yeah.
Gory B movie roller derby. Now is it you don't mind being called a roller derby queen though, right?
You should just call them derby girls.
Derby girls.
If you look up Apple City Roller Derby, you can find some videos. The one I found here. So we had 4 teams. So it was we had 3 teams. It was really funny because we had the Black Label Barbies who they were like really good. Like they were the team to beat. They won a lot. They were really good. And they were kind of like the mean girls, I guess.
Okay.
But they were good. And then we had the Hydro Electras, and they were the nice girls who never won a fucking game. They were way too nice. And then we had the Jawbreakers, and everyone said we were like the Breakfast Club team. Like we were like I guess like the misfit team. And so like we'd win some and we'd lose some. You never knew with one of our games how it was gonna go. But yeah, we had so much fun. It was so cool. We had so many crazy people on our team. Like we had a girl who was a cowgirl. She was over 50 too. She was badass.
Oh man.
So
cool. So you had what 5 or 6 seasons then?
Like I said, the first season was mostly just training and getting Lily together. So we'd work out a lot, we'd skate a lot. We didn't actually have games like the first year. Wow. But yeah, I played about five seasons. And it was really fun in the beginning because we did like roller derby. Like my husband was a cheerleader. Roller derby, you have men in skirts and tutus who are the cheerleaders. And then he ended up becoming our team's mascot, Tutu Kachu. He was like a big green gorilla, which was super cool. We had a lot of fun with that kind of stuff early on. And then the last season, I didn't enjoy it as much because we had a new league manager and she wanted it to be like straight up, like we need to be taken seriously. And she changed our uniforms and I don't know. She got rid of all the fun stuff.
Right. You got to have fun. That's what I thought. When I think of roller derby, I just think of fun. There
are, we call them Murby. There are Murby leagues. There are men's leagues.
Okay. Danny's mentioning a big green gorilla with a pink tutu.
Yeah, that was him, Tutu Kachu.
Yeah, we need to see pictures of him.
I got pictures.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. We want pictures. We should. How come you didn't enter him inside the battle royale? Which is a good
battle royale. He's in the slashers. Danny's in the slashers. I'm in the witches, and Laws is in the demons.
Wow. Okay.
Wolfula was in the creatures last week.
Yeah, I came by because me and Al we wanted to be in it too. We wanted to enter it. Like the bat and the cat. We wanted to enter it, but
that
I think
cool. Everyone in the chat chose the roster. So if you had shown up,
I know. Remember, I was the one that's pushing the old dude vampire.
Yeah, you and Martin.
Yeah, that was hilarious. That's so
Ben mentioned that he said there's no roller derby horror. I always had an idea for a roller derby horror movie called The Pack is Here. Because that's what the ref would say. Pack is here. That means you need to get the fuck up there, or you're gonna get sent to the sin bin. which is like the penalty box.
Okay.
Nobody wants to get sent there. You got to go as fast as you can. You do your time, and then you get the fuck back out there. Nobody wants to go to the sin bin. Sucks.
Check a look in the chat. Look at that. Old dude vampire.
But my idea, actually, my friend ended up making it into a short story. We talked about it together, and she made a really good short story. But the idea was that during a roller derby practice, there's a zombie outbreak, and so they have to like use their derby skills to like, evade, attack, and escape from evade and attack zombies. So it was cool.
Where did you get the idea to do the battle royale?
Just because I think it's something everybody does. You get with your friends and you're like, well, who would win in this? And then I think the biggest push for the idea, and I think I overdid it. I do. But I think I'm worried people are getting sick of it. But the biggest push for it is I'm a panelist at Crypticon Seattle. I've been a panelist there for the last, I don't know, 6 years. I don't know off the top of my head. But I've been a panelist for a really long time. And this last year I got to be on the Who Would Win panel. And what they did is they had a big board and it was fun, but we kind of left that with like a bad taste in our mouth because Cthulhu cleared out the whole thing. There was nobody who was a decent competitor against Cthulhu. And so we were sad to see people like Ash just get their asses handed to them in this, which was done by votes and stuff too. But it just sucked because we're like, well, that's not really fair. You can't put Ash against Cthulhu. And so I thought, well, wouldn't it have been cool if there was like a slasher category, a witches category, who's the strongest of the werewolves, that kind of thing, so it's a fair fight.
But Cthulhu could have been stopped. I'm thinking here, who could stop Cthulhu? And I'm already thinking the very first person right off the top of my head. I mean, it would have to be Sheriff Brody from Jaws.
Maybe, but they predetermined the lineup, so we didn't get to see they didn't put anybody who could go against Cthulhu. And so I have Cthulhu in mind too, but Cthulhu's in the kaiju category, where I think, it's going to get some competition. So we thought this would after that one, we thought this would be like more fun if they were like within their own categories. And then at the end, the winner of each one, they go into a final, like finalist one, like who's the strongest of all of them.
Now you have to admit, were you surprised by your first round? Because I was. There was a lot of established of characters that I thought we were going to just walk on through to the finals, and that didn't happen. Your votes, a lot of people were voting the opposite what I thought they were going to vote. There was some upset.
The Queen Alien. I thought the Queen Alien had it in the bag, but that was what's cool about it. What I like about these ones is we really do legitimately break down like what are their strengths and weaknesses, who could actually win. And I was like, no, I guess you're right,
Yeah, it was a lot of fun because I was thinking, wow, there's somebody just going to walk in there. It's like, okay, because that's all people would know. But there was some your audience is whip smart, isn't it? Would you say that your audience is? I think your audience is pretty smart. Real smart. I mean, I've been to some live streams where they have just, they're full of slappies, just bandwagon horror fans. They don't know anything other than what they're told. Yours, I go there because your fans are smart. They can sit there and you can, yes. I mean, that battle royale is really
with me. They have to be because my favorite thing is I love. I don't consider myself a movie critic. I consider myself more of just somebody who's like maybe a film historian. I just love to learn about the history of movies. And I think even the cheesiest movie, when you find out that a movie that maybe you thought was cheesy, that someone put a lot of passion and heart into it, I think it makes you appreciate it more. I think the worst movies are the ones that are soulless, that were just made by money people to get butts in seats. Those are to me the atrocities. A movie like Leprechaun that people who loved making movies and wanted to make a fun movie made, that's a great movie. And when you hear about the love that went into that movie, hopefully you appreciate it more. But yeah, on my channel, I do a lot of these deep dives. And if you have the patience for those, then I guess you got to be smart.
Well, you know what? We did our first deep dive before we moved over to Sundays. We did a Friday the 13th deep dive.
I heard about that.
Yeah, that was yeah.
I love a good deep dive.
I do too. Before I see people do deep dive of old franchises, I would sit there and go like, wow, what can you bring to the party that already has been said? It's a 40-year-old franchise. I mean, everything that's been said about it has been said. But then I went ahead and they did it with Al, and I was like, holy crap, I didn't know half the stuff that I didn't know half of it. Plus, it didn't hurt that I hadn't seen any of the movies in about 20-25 years either. So it's like all watching it again for the first time. And holy crap, I had so much fun with that.
And I am listening. I was trying to find you some Apple City roller derby videos. I found one that I'm not in, but you can see Danny as a cheerleader in his tutu.
Awesome. That works. That works. Here, let me make you a mod so you can drop it in the chat. That's what I can do.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, there we go.
I put it in there. I don't know if it shows up as a link, but you can see Danny at least, and at least a little bit of what our league looked like.
Yeah. Besides, I need to do that anyway. There she is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so tickled that you guys came over to Sundays. How did the gory hangout? How did the gory hangout start? Horror hangout start? I mean, you've had your channel for, you and Danny have been doing it for a while because you guys combined almost have 20,000 subscribers, right?
Oh, I don't have that many. I have a little over 2,000. Horror Addicts has been around since 2015, and it's got about 15,000.
Yeah.
Basically, I have a lot of fun. I still do videos on Horror Addicts all the time with my husband. We love doing stuff together. But Horror Addicts was all about all things horror. It was Danny's baby. Danny came up with it. He's a fucking genius. We both loved black nerd comedy, and he was the one who's like, "This guy's great. Wouldn't it be great if someone did this about horror?" At the time, there wasn't a lot of horror channels, at least none that we knew of. And so he's like, we're going to go. We had a creepy attic. We're going to go in the attic. We're going to talk about movies. I'm like, okay. I had tried doing videos before for book reviews, and I honestly don't like the sound of my own voice. And I was like, you do you. I'm not going to do it. And then eventually he asked me to be in like a video here and there. And it was really fun. And it was all just him getting us hyped up. Then our son wanted to do it. And eventually, after doing it for a long time, One Horror Addicts got to the point where it was big enough that a lot of the comments directed towards me were really shitty. Like,
oh no,
I look like an orangutan. Some people say horrible things about our kid too. People would comment on my weight and stuff, and it wasn't fun. And I was thinking about quitting. And then I thought, well, what if I do my own thing? And what I love to talk about the most is movies that don't get enough attention. Either they're forgotten or maybe they were dismissed because people thought that they were like a B movie. I like those gory B movies, hence the name. So I was like, I'm going to create my own channel. And I kind of like that it's small because everyone's wonderful. You said it yourself. The people who watch my channel are awesome. They know their horror. They're enthusiastic. And so far, for the most part, I think people take me for who I am, and I dig it.
And an extra bonus for me, that I'm just going to say this. I might, but I'm going to say it. But oh, thank God you don't talk about Halloween and Scream.
I had to a lot for this.
I mean, not right now, like Scream 6 and Halloween.
I'm trying to avoid a lot of that right now because I don't want spoilers. I think at a certain point, like for me, I just don't want to get spoiled. But if that's what makes somebody jazzed and gets them excited and passionate, by all means. I mean, a lot of people might think the things I talk about are not interesting. So whatever gets you excited, just what gets me excited is like those cheesy B movies.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like the Bat. Well, we showed the Bat. We didn't have enough time. We were gonna actually do the Bat versus the Gila monster, but we're gonna do the Gila monster a little bit later.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
So the horror hanga though, so I get so off track. So I started a channel and I did a couple videos and I was really upset because I don't half-ass things, and my first few videos took like 3 months a piece to make. And I was like, I can't make a channel where every video I do takes 3 months because I do all this research and then I do all this editing. And I was like, I can't do this. And I kind of gave up on it. And then I came back around to it and started making videos again. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do some shorter reviews in there as well as the big ones. And so I did like a review of Scream and stuff. But then I started to meet a lot of my friends I made this year are in the Lethal Collective, and was watching one of Knight's streams and started watching his channel, and he had me on his show. And then we were talking And he was asking for me for advice because I've been around YouTube for a while, like if he should get monetized and stuff. And I was like, helping him with that. But then I asked him like about the live streaming. I've live streamed a lot, but I'd never live streamed without a guest. And I was like, is that really scary? Like, I don't know. What if nobody shows up? What if I choke because I'm there by myself? There's no guest who will save me. And he's like, you should do it. I believe in you. Like you have natural like energy. He was really supportive. And finally I was like, okay, because I wanted to get the channel monetized. And we both agreed that streaming was the best way to do it. So then that next day, I just went on and I'm like, okay, here I am by myself. I don't have a topic. I don't have a guest. Let's just hang out. And so it was Horror Hangout, not the most original title. I know Monty's got one too.
Yeah.
It was the idea was also that when I do have guests and stuff, I primarily focus on my guest. Or like when I'm on another show, I focus on, whoever invited me there. But yeah, Horror Hangouts, I really focus on the chat and get to hang out with everybody there, the people who watch the show and stuff, which is really cool.
It is safe to say, because it is for me, it still is for me, still is. But my favorite show still today on the tube is Slasher Movie Club.
Yeah.
On Nice Channel. Absolutely love that.
I like that he does a lot of streams, like stream reviews, which is cool. Like he does put a lot. I'd never thought of that because for me, I put a lot of editing into it, and that's a really smart way to do it. He does prepare, he researches, he gets the clips and stuff beforehand. And I think that's a really good way to do it. I like to kind of script my stuff out because I like to put jokes and stuff in there. So I think I'll still just keep doing mine the way I do. But I do love his streams where he talks about a movie and just like reviews it live.
I love Slasher Movie Club because the best part about it is it's great when he discovers a gem, like an undiscovered gem. It's great.
Yeah.
But it's so much better when he finds movies that he says, we're heading to dark territory because Coriander will just get unleashed.
Oh, I adore her.
It's nothing but entertainment. It's like
he's wonderful. And Killian, I love Killian too.
But he doesn't do Slasher Movie Club, and Coriander does. When they get a bad movie, oh my heaven, it's the best. That's awesome. Recently they covered a movie. I thought, oh my gosh, this is great. I can't wait to see what they say and everything else. They covered Silent Hill, the first movie.
Very cool.
Oh, no doubt. Like that's one of my very favorite movies, right? I love that movie. Awesome. I'm sitting in there, I'm ready to watch it, and oh my God, it was Slasher Movie Club all over. It was dark territory, and Coriander just destroyed that movie. And I'm like, oh, I could feel the hurt in my soul because I absolutely loved that movie so much. She's like, oh, and she just did not like it. I'm going like, okay, wait till you see Silent Hill Revelations. You're going to come back to the first Silent Hill and say, I'm sorry.
I like Silent Hill. I think it's got great atmosphere. And that's the thing. A lot of people like who are critics, and no shame on anyone who does that. It's hard to put your opinions out there, but I think a lot of people are too focused on whether or not like a movie is good or bad. And I think when we do that, we miss out on some really great films. I think a lot of films have at least something to offer. I've seen very few movies that I feel have absolutely like no value. As far as I'm concerned, I think I've seen like maybe 5 movies where I'm like, yeah, absolutely nothing worked in this movie. But even like Manos, the Hands of Fate, like the costume design, the guy who played the master, it's his daughter who's in the movie. And his wife painted the painting and did the costumes, and the costume's fantastic. The painting's fantastic. So even in this movie that's supposed to be the worst movie of all time, there's some really good things about it, And I like to kind of appreciate like what's good about a movie sometimes.
Yeah, we did that. We did a horror movie about a year and a half ago. It hit the community. We have a small Wild Eye group. So this movie called Wheezy Shark came out, and the guy who made it spent $216 Canadian to make this movie. That's his budget, $216. We had so much fun talking about that movie. It's a terrible movie, but we turned around and we talked up that movie. We had so much fun with it. Everything. It was like Old Dude Vampire on steroids.
I love the movie Things, and that movie's awful, but it's so entertaining.
Which one?
Things. It's a Canadian movie made on like a dime.
Oh my gosh, that must be Brett Kelly too. But we turned it around and made it into like a cult favorite. People absolutely love that movie. We talk
about that. You did that. I love that you did that.
Yeah, we now every time we talk about it, we throw it up there and it's like it's Wheezy Shark, and we just have so much fun with it. I don't really like. I'm with you. I mean critics. I mean there's two ways of looking at a critic to me. We're all it's just an opinion for one thing, but then you got critics who are they're the ones that they'll like everything to be part of it, and then you got the ones who will sit there and not like a obviously good movie, but they want to be contrarian. They want to try to stand out of the crowd by not saying, but everybody likes Top Gun Maverick. You get that one guy sitting over there, yeah, I didn't like it, and you
I,
know what?
I review movies sometimes, especially I did on Horror Addicts a lot, and I try to be as fair as possible. But honestly, when I made my channel, I was like, what value can I bring? And I don't think my opinions on movies are really my value. I think for some people it probably is. Like they just have a knack for it, and that's awesome. But I love to be like that person who gives you like the nerdy stuff or maybe helps you appreciate something that you missed out on. So I try to focus on that. But yeah, I've done some movie reviews.
Hey Maverick, I see you came in here. How are you? Glad you're here.
I found you something.
I have totally lost control of this chat. I'm telling you
I
now.
found you something.
Oh, what did you get?
The last link I posted shows my team. My team's the pink team, the Jawbreakers. The pink, our colors are pink, green, and blue. And you can see me in there in my face paint at 326.
Monkey just dropped knowledge on us. He says Shark Exorcist is the best shark movie, and the second one is even better. Monkey's not lying.
I will say the next review on Movie Massacre's channel, really great channel, by the way, if you guys haven't seen it. One of my really good friends who's coming up this weekend to go see Joe Bob with us. The next one he's doing is Shark Exorcist. So if you're not subscribed to Movie Asker, absolutely please do that. And I think the other thing I want to just clarify too, because I don't want to sound like I'm dunking on critics. I think everybody has something to contribute, and I also don't want to do the same thing everybody else is doing. But
right, no, I don't.
Amazing community, and if you watch my show, I'm always talking about other channels that you should check out because I'm a big fan of a lot. Like I'm a big fan of your channel, I'm a big fan of a lot of people in the chat, like Maverick. There's some really amazing people out there who do awesome things. I'm just trying to find my own little niche in there somewhere.
Yeah, well, which is why we're so glad that you came over on Sundays. I'm excited. I truly am. I know that the battle royale is going on right now, but and you're still feeling your way out on Sundays. But I'm waiting till after the battle royale is over because we want to collaborate with you so bad. Me and Al, we're just sitting here going like, cool. We got to collaborate with Gory and Danny on something. I don't know what it is, but as soon as they get done with the battle royale and take a little time, because that's a lot of energy. You guys expend a hell of a lot of energy into that.
That's just our energy.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when I peeked over because I thought, okay, when I peeked over and I saw you were there for 4.5 hours, I was like, oh my god.
You talk to me. I'm just a passionate person. A little too much for a lot of people.
No, not at all. And we said, well, we got to get together and collaborate. And and we're looking to collaborate with anybody. We're doing our very first. We're actually doing our very first collaboration starting Saturday. We're collaborating with the House of Horrors. And we're celebrating Mark Polonia week. So he's doing the Amityville in Space movie.
Haven't seen that one. And it's hard to find one I haven't seen.
It's just coming out this Tuesday. I think it's for general release.
There's an Amityville Karen movie coming out this year.
That came out. Yeah, that came out on SRS. Casey he actually bought the copy of that. Two former guests of ours on the show were in that movie.
Wow.
Malvoya, the Queen of Screams, and Mike Ferguson.
John C. Phillips directed it. He's a cool duder on YouTube.
Yeah, he's cool duder. Yeah, he's actually turned himself into a pretty credible low budget director. I mean, he does a lot of so more power to him. He there's so many Amityville movies. Oh Lord have mercy.
Yeah, that's where I kind of do lose interest when I feel like a studio is just churning out stuff. But granted, I haven't seen them all. They might all be wonderful.
You know what?
I have seen a lot of movies though where I'm like, yeah, this was just made to make a buck. So that's where.
Yeah. Sometimes you can be really surprised by that. For sure. You know what? I'm looking at the clock. I'm at over 2:15. We are probably.
Sorry, I chat.
No, not at all. I always know every time I talk to a fellow YouTuber, a fellow creative, we always go a little bit over. But we can always have you come back. So because I have a lot more questions, and we'll definitely have you come back. I just want to thank you guys for coming out and supporting this interview. Haley, thank you so much. You're awesome. I mean, like I said it already 20 times, I'll say it 21st time. Thank you for reaching out, and thanks for coming over on Sunday nights. I think between us, the Midnight Society, and Horror Hangouts, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. If you guys want to come over and hang out with us on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. and then slide on over to Gory B movie, by all means, we welcome one and all.
It's the double power hour. Like I market it like an event.
Yeah, the Wonder Twin powers.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, Wonder Twin
powers. You are my Wonder Twin. My Wonder Twin.
Wonder Twin.
I love it.
Thanks again to the chat. You guys really rocked it out tonight. Yes, I will. I will definitely get
news for you.
What's that?
Another reason I'm really glad I moved to Sunday is I used to be part of a live streaming group, Freaky Girls Live, which is all female creators. We have one male, Queenie Todd, but aside from that, all female creators who want to talk horror movies. We usually talk about 2 movies a stream, and we did it every month for years. And then life happened, and we haven't done it in months, and I was really kind of sad because we still all talk to each other on Facebook. And this month, it's always one Saturday every month. Ben knows, Ben watches. This month it's coming back. It will be on the 23rd, and it's Saturday. So thankfully I don't have a show, so I'm not going to miss being on Freaky Girls Live. We're going to talk about last night in Soho. I'm so excited.
You know what? I will end up watching that and hanging out and watching out and throwing my 2 cents into it.
I hope so.
I'll be in the chat. Yeah, I got that movie.
Those girls are crazy. I love them. They're so awesome. We have so many different personalities. It reminds me of my roller derby days.
Oh, hell yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. I like that sort of thing. We tried to do the Jennifer Tochi and Katie from the Midnight Hour. They got a little group together too, the Witching Hour. Those 2 plus Ashley, and I think there's one more. And they do the same thing. They do it's all female, and they all talk about horror movies, which I absolutely love. I love it because you don't see, especially here on the tube, you don't see women really represented that much on streams.
I used to have a stream called Ghouls Night Out, which was an all women of horror stream, and I brought my streams back because I used to do Ghouls Night Out every weekend, and it was a women of horror stream, female creators talking about female stuff in horror movies, like from a woman's perspective. I want to bring it back. So I did message a friend of mine. So hopefully I'll have that come back here soon. Because I do think it's really important. Because like you said, there's not a lot of representation. And I really like how it bonds, female creators together. We got to look out for each other.
We do. I want to throw a quick shout out to my friend Marshall, just came in here, Mellow Nomadic Adventures. He's actually a filmmaker himself. He's also worked on several films, including the IFC film called Rust Creek, and he is a fantastic he's a fantastic creator himself. He does he's a van lifer, but he goes to different locations and talks about the movies that he works on. Fantastic human being and fantastic guest, and I just wanted to point that out. Mellow Nomadic Adventures. I love
your chat tonight. You have got some wonderful people, very accepting people, very insightful people in your chat. I'm definitely going to be checking out a lot of the creators in your chat today. It's been really a pleasure to be here and talk to you, one of my favorite channels, and meet some wonderful people in the chat. I
definitely have some really good people. I really do appreciate it. Oh, no problem, Marshall. You definitely deserve all the praise. So yeah, I'm going to wrap this up. Hang out for 1 minute, Gory. Thank you for everybody that came out and dropped comments and questions and whatnot. We will be back on Tuesday for Magnificent Germany with Darian. I'm doing a YouTube Creators Week next week. And we also will be talking to Greg Harris, Fit for Expedition, and we'll also be talking to Miss Betty Gathers. That's all next week here. And then on the 28th, since I got a crowd here, we have Crystal Lowell from Final Destination 3, Wrong Turn 2, Wonder.
Awesome.
Yes. How about that? That's what I'm talking about. So,
I was honored to be on this show because you've had some incredible guests. So
we're having fun. We are having fun here on Eight Questions with. So Krista will be with us on the 28th of July at 8 o'clock. And I'm sort of nervous about that. I have a feeling this chat's going to be like crazy.
I'll definitely try to check it out. It's always Thursdays, right?
Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays.
That's when you do 8 questions?
That's when I do 8 questions. Once in a while, I'll do a Monday show or Friday show, depending on the schedule. If I need to reschedule or just want to talk to that person that bad.
Yeah.
If I want to talk to you really bad, I'm going to put you in whenever I can. I talk to a lot of different people.
Describing people in your chat right now.
like the people in the chat. Yeah, actually, there's actually been some people in here that have been guests on here. Marsha has been a guest on here. I know Betty was here. Let's see who else has been here. Mr. Flickster was a guest on here.
Yeah, I was just on his show, his very first stream yesterday. And he nailed it. He did great.
Yeah, I saw that. I was pretty impressed with that. He came on my show and he had that first stream jitters, like it's the first time he's been on a stream, right? So I just, hey, you're a journalist, relax. And because he writes for BuzzHorror and Horror. And so I said, just relax, just take a walk around the house a couple of times, you'll be fine. And then I saw him yesterday. Man, he looked like a veteran. It's like
he did great. He did a really great job.
So yeah, congratulations to Mr. Flickster. Okay, I keep on saying this, but I better get out of here.
I'm so sorry.
And stay right where you're at for a minute, Gory, and I'll be with you 1 second. All right, everybody, we'll talk to you soon. Head on over to Horror Hobbs for the midnight hour. Peace.